This week in games, travesty hits the games industry once again as both Bungie has layoffs and Game Informer shuts down. Let's talk about how we can fix this. This is the Two Penny Gamescast. What's poppin', players? Welcome back to a Two Penny Gamescast, episode 211. I am your host, Tavin Bothel, here with my good friend and co-host. Say hello to the people, Connor Elliott.
Greetings, humans of Earth. I am human like you.
Oh, Jesus, here we go with this stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, this is your first episode of the month of August, so that means at the end of this episode, there will be a Two Penny Game Club, your monthly video game book club, attached to the end of this. So make sure you either A, stick around for that, click the time code in the description below, or if you're really feeling saucy, go ahead and jump over to youtube.com/@2pennygames and click on the breakout review. That's right, Doom 2016. We played it over the month of August. We're reviewing it, and we're ranking it amongst the other games of the list, despite how overrated some of these games might be.
I don't know what he's talking about, but yeah,
despite their clear flaws and narrative-breaking story decisions and unbelievable bloat.
Believable.
We're ranking it amongst some of those. Anyways.
I would say stuff, but why spoil you guys? Go listen to the great conversation we had.
This is, of course, the Two Penny Gamescast, where each and every week, me and Connor come to you, each with two topics, two pennies, if you will, and we give you our 2 cents on them. Drop a comment down below in the comment section below if you want to talk about any new topics that we did not have the time to discuss on the podcast and you would like us to come back to, or more of an evergreen topic. How do you feel about this trend in gaming? Or how does this game compare to that? What do you feel about this kind of thing from the past that we don't have anymore? Why don't we have it anymore? This type of things. Let us know down in the comments below so that we can incorporate a 2 penny audience as well. Connor, how's your week been, friend?
It's been a nice week.
Shut the fuck up. Fuck you.
He's still riding hot, but that's what this podcast is all about. Passion. Why we do it. We love video games, and I love playing video games.
Yeah.
I don't want to... You know what I started playing again? It's a comfort game of mine.
Yeah?
Chivalry 2.
Oh!
Yeah. I just jump in,
Yeah.
quit games, and then I'm done. Easy.
Very nice. Hey, I'm into that.
What's your comfort game right now, Tavin?
Right now, Spider-Man 2 is the comfort game, but I've been talking about that for the last couple of weeks. So, of course, nothing new about that. I jumped into it a little bit more this week, but most of my time has been given to Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. Again, not that much time, though. Not as much time as it probably should have been, and, so I'm bouncing around. And I'll be honest, Connor, I'm facing this issue right now where there are games that I should play. Right? I should play Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. I should play Unicorn Overlord. I should play another game. I should finish Persona 3 Reload,
Yeah.
Things like that.
Why would you?
Why would I?
Hey,
let me tell you something that's been sitting on my console for weeks and weeks, Connor, and I've been wanting to play it, and I just keep finding excuses not to, but I'm itching for that type of experience right now. You know what that game is right now,
What's
Connor?
that?
Cyberpunk 2077.
Oh, okay.
I've had it on the console for weeks now. I've been wanting to play it, and there's just a part of me that goes, this is valuable time where you don't have to play anything else right now. Do your homework. Catch up on the games of this year. You're going to like Infinite Wealth. You love Persona 3. Play those. And for some reason, I just can't get myself to go do it. So I end up playing Spider-Man 2.
Hey, we all have our faults.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is, of course, the podcast that you can find every Tuesday, 8 a.m. Central Time, youtube.com/2pennygames, and mainstream podcast services of your choice. You can also watch us record these all live Monday, twitch.tv/2pennygames, sometime in the afternoon. Join us. Make sure you hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss on any weekly streams on that. And make sure you like, subscribe, and follow us on podcast platforms. Give us 5-star ratings so that we can show up in other people's algorithms. And follow us all on our social medias linked in the description below alongside our TikTok channel. Follow us on TikTok. Videos going up weekly over there as well. Connor, I guess we got to get into it, my friend. We got to get into our first story of the day. Not the nicest story. In fact, ladies and gentlemen, go ahead, brace yourself. This is going to be a bummer of an episode. This week has been a bummer of a news week, and it continues to just kind of get worse and worse the more details that we discover. I'm sure there's details that we've missed already, and I'm sure there will be more details by the time you hear this. But unfortunately, we just got to work with the information that we have right now. So, Connor, go ahead, take it away. First penny of the day.
Sadly, something that was very formative to me and undoubtedly many others in my video game journey. This is from Kotaku. GameStop shuts down Game Informer, the longest-running gaming magazine in the U.S. This is from Ethan Jack. Game Informer, the longest-running gaming magazine in the U.S., is officially dead, and GameStop killed it. It began publishing in 1991 and has been one of the last remaining physical gaming magazines in the world, with cover stories that continue to share deep dives and exclusive interviews on the biggest games coming out, from Final Fantasy VII Rebirth to Star Wars Outlaws. No more. Staff at the magazine, which also publishes a website, weekly podcast, and online video game documentaries about game studios and developers, were all called into a meeting on Friday with parent company GameStop's VP of HR. In it, they were told the publication was closing immediately. They were all laid off and would begin receiving severance terms. At least one staffer was in the middle of a work trip when the team was told. The sudden closure of Game Informer means that issue number 367, the outlet's Dragon Age The Veilguard cover story, will be its last physical magazine. The entire website has been taken offline as well. The Game Informer Twitter account, which has since been deleted after employees used it to share their bylines one last time, posted the following statement online today. But sources tell Kotaku it was not written by anyone on the team, which was still in the process of making sure everyone on staff was informed about the news. This is from the quote. After 33 thrilling years of bringing you the latest news, reviews, and insights from the ever-evolving worlds of gaming, it is with a heavy heart that we announce the closure of Game Informer. From the early days of pixelated adventures to today's immersive virtual realms, we've been honored to share this impossible journey with you, our loyal readers. While our presses may stop, the passion for gaming that we've cultivated together will continue to live on. Thank you for being part of our epic quest, and may your own gaming adventures never end. Of course, you had people take to Game Informer, lamenting the closure of the platform. As anybody who even just read it would say, it's... I have two main issues with this. First of all, GameStop. Their refusal to try and adapt to the changing gaming market can be directly correlated with why this failed. Clearly, physical game media has taken a dive. I would say it's unfortunate. Others, not so much. But they didn't really try anything to curb that. They just kind of seemed to accept their fate.
Well, they tried a few things. They tried to turn. There was that bit of time we covered it on the podcast where they tried to turn GameStops into like a local hangout spot that people could kind of chill at or whatever. Didn't seem to work. It also, I think, the pandemic hit almost immediately after that, so that definitely fell apart pretty quickly after that.
That's something they could have picked back up, though, after the fact.
Yeah, they could have, but I guess they just chose not to. And then, of course, the selling of third-party merchandise and memorabilia and, just kind of cool stuff.
Low-quality stuff, though.
Yeah. And then, there's always the memes of just the shelves and shelves of Funko Pops that they were selling. So, yeah, GameStop stopped being the premier place to get games. And in an era where physical games mattered less and less, of course, GameStop is a failing business. But Game Informer is a profitable one, which makes this all the more confusing as to why they would choose to go this route. And then it's also worth noting on the Game Informer Twitter, Game Informer employees or part of the team jumped up, and you mentioned it in the article, they jumped up to release a tweet that said, "Our 33-year legacy deserves a genuine goodbye." Written by a former Game Informer member. We're heartbroken by the shutdown of our publication, yet we leave with pride knowing we poured everything we had into it. In the words of our editor-in-chief, be well, play well. And then they have some credits posted of key members of the Game Informer team there, which is nice. But unfortunately, GameStop then immediately went in and just deleted the entire Game Informer Twitter account.
Dummy.
So not only can you not see that message from the team, you also can't even see their bullshit message that you read, Connor, about the 33 thrilling years, yada, 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 yada. So you can't read either of those messages on the platform that they were initially posted on either way now, which is really, really scummy. It just doesn't make sense. At the end of the day, Game Informer was one of the key news outlets in games journalism world. I understand that's a medium that doesn't provide a lot of income or a lot of profit, I should say. It's a pretty, you don't make a lot of money on the journalism side of video games, right? And so it's unfortunate that it's been chosen to go this way. It's the lashing out of a dying company that in 10 years I can't imagine we'll ever hear about, continuing to succeed and excel. But unfortunately, there's a lot of really good, really hardworking, really talented people who are getting caught in the crossfire here. And the members of Game Informer are an example of that. There was a lot of really great, touching moments from games industry folks. I saw the likes of the Neil Druckmanns and, the Greg Millers and I saw Imran Khan, who is a prolific video game writer. I don't think he had a staff job at Game Informer, but he was often contracted to work for them. And he was like, man, what the fuck? I can't even log in because the website is dead and it just brings you to a page of their message of like, hey, we're shutting it down or whatever. So like these guys can't even go and back up their work that they've gotten for their resumes and stuff like that over the last couple of years for Game Informer, which is unfortunate. And just a reminder that, hey, if you work in that field, back up everything, have your own personal copies of everything. Carry a couple of extra hard drives just so that you always have some copy of something that you've worked on in the past and you are able to access it for future employment, because you never know when some greedy corporate overlord is just going to shut you down because...
That's how it goes, yeah. I mean, that just adds on to the scumminess of the story.
Yeah.
It's that, which they didn't need to do that. They didn't need to delete the Game Informer Twitter page. These things aren't expensive to upkeep or it cost anything at all.
Yeah.
It was clearly, especially with the Twitter one, they didn't want people, the actual people who they said, we care about you and whatnot, saying anything.
Could have just changed the password.
Exactly.
He could have taken down the one post and changed the password. It would have been fine.
There was clearly no effort to try and pass it on to anybody else, especially seeing as how you had them announce that the place is closing down just this last Friday.
Yeah.
And then, severance packages be damned. I don't really care what you have to be so willing to, cut people's legs out from under them on a moment's notice. Really goes to show you that the heart of it, as with many of these things, is greed.
Yeah.
From, as you said, a dying company, which only, I think, would exacerbate the greed of those people that are trying to continue to make money off of something that no longer is profitable. And recently there was a large acquisition of a ton of, I can't remember who did it, of a ton of different publications. Clearly people have, a desire to want to buy these things.
You could have sold Game Informer, man. You could have made a pretty penny off of it, too. Like... that's what's really unfortunate, is that this is a cultural loss.
Yes.
For gaming as an industry and as a medium. Like, to this day, what game was on the Game Informer cover meant something. The art of the Game Informer covers meant something. Every month, I remember growing up subscribing to GameStop's little in-store thing to get the magazine to ship to my house. I remember when Arkham City graced the cover. I remember when Bulletstorm graced the cover. And there are a bunch of other, classic video games of actual importance than Bulletstorm. When an Uncharted would come around, or when a new Star Wars game would come around, this, that, and the third. Hi, baby, get down.
I gotta get you down.
Get down. That was such a moment, month to month, about all these things. The BioShock Infinite cover, the Last of Us cover, those things stand out so heavily in my mind. And there are still great covers that have been coming out as of lately. The art for Spider-Man 2018 is there's a piece of art that came out of that news scoop that is still my Twitter banner to this day. Because it was so dope, And so, like, these things still mattered, and to see all of that talent just go to waste and stuff. So I'm very excited to see the Dragon Age Veilguard. I think that's a cover that, like, has a lot of potential for it. It would have been something that I would have been excited to see before this news, and now I'm really hopeful, I'm really anticipating it now, because it's the last one we'll ever get, so we got to cherish it while we can, right?
Yeah.
And it's, you know, we've seen so many great covers come up on social medias and stuff as people remember, you know, all these fond memories of this long running publication. This one hurts. This one really, really fucking hurts because it like
avoidable, shitty because of the cultural loss.
Yeah, like
dumb on every factor.
Yeah, there's no angle of this that makes you go, all right, well, yeah, writing was on the wall here. Like outside of GameStop failing, like Game Informer felt like it was bigger than GameStop. In the modern years, you know, so you would think that like, all right, we're gonna sell it off to who knows who, man, anybody, Microsoft, Embracer, or you know, Fox or CNN.
For certain, like you said, Microsoft a second ago, to have like
the Washington Post just laid off their entire fucking staff. It would have been nice to okay, we'll supplement it with this, something like that. I don't know.
I mean, the fact, yeah, it's just shitty all the way around. Fuck people who work at the upper echelons of GameStop. You're scum. Sorry. Not really.
I'm not sorry.
Yeah,
Fuck you.
When I'm saying that.
This part's...
You don't deserve
that
basic.
Sucks. And Connor, unfortunately, the bad news doesn't stop there. It keeps going. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to jump over to story number 2, my first penny of the day. Layoffs continue to hit the industry. This time, they hit Bungie again for the second time in less than a year. On July 31st, 2024, Pete Parsons posted on the Bungie website, the new path for Bungie. Excuse me.
Damn.
It's because you have us drink beers on the fucking game club, you fucking ranking Yakuza High piece of shit.
You boiled it.
Anyways, this morning, I'm sharing with all of you some of the most difficult changes we've ever had to make as a studio. Due to rising costs of development and industry shifts, as well as enduring economic conditions, it has become clear that we need to make substantial changes to our cost structure and focus development efforts entirely on Destiny and Marathon. That means, beginning today, 220 of our roles will be eliminated, representing roughly 17% of our studio's workforce. These actions will affect every level of the company, including most of our executive and senior leader roles. Today is a difficult and painful day, especially for our departing colleagues, all of which have made important and valuable contributions to Bungie. Our goal is to support them with the utmost care and respect for everyone affected by this job reduction. We will be offering a generous exit package, including severance, bonus, and health coverage. I realize all of this is hard news, especially following the success we've seen from the final shape, but as we've navigated the broader economic realities of the last year and after exhausting all other mitigation options, this has become a necessary decision to refocus our studio and our business with more realistic goals and viable financials. We are committing to 2 other major changes today that we believe will support our focus. Leverage Sony's strengths and create new opportunities for Bungie talent. First, we are deepening our integration with Sony Interactive Entertainment, working to integrate 155 of our roles, roughly 12%, into SIE over the next few quarters. SIE has worked tirelessly with us to identify roles for as many of our people as possible, enabling us together to save a great deal of talent that would otherwise have been affected by the reduction in force. Second, we are working with PlayStation Studio leadership to spin out one of our incubation projects, an action game set in a brand new science fantasy universe, to form a new studio within PlayStation Studios to continue its promising development. This will be a time of tremendous change for our studio. Let's unpack how we ended up in this position. It's important to understand how we got here. I agree. It is important to understand how we got here. For over 5 years, it's been our goal to ship games in 3 enduring global franchises. To realize that ambition, we set up several incubation projects, each seeded with senior development leaders from our existing teams. We eventually realized that this model stretched our talent too thin too quickly. It also forced our studio support structures to scale to a larger level than we could have realistically support, given our 2 primary products in development, Destiny and Marathon. Additionally, in 2023, our rapid expansion ran headlong into a broad economic slowdown, a sharp downturn in the games industry, our quality miss with Destiny 2 Lightfall, and the need to give both the final shape and Marathon the time needed to ensure both projects would deliver at the quality our players expect and deserve. We were overly ambitious, our financial safety margins were subsequently exceeded, and we were beginning to run in the red. After this new trajectory became clear, we knew we had to change our course and speed, and we did everything we could to avoid today's outcome, even with exhaustive efforts undertaken across our leadership and product teams to resolve our financial changes. These steps were simply not enough. As a result, today we must say goodbye to incredible talent, colleagues, and friends. This will be a challenging time at Bungie, and we'll need our team to navigate these changes in the weeks and months ahead. This will be a hard week, and we know that our team will need to process, to ask questions, and to absorb this news. Today and over the next several weeks, we will host team meetings and town halls, team breakout sessions, and private individual sessions to ensure we are keeping our communication open and transparent. Bungie will continue to make great games. We still have over 850 team members building Destiny and Marathon, and we will continue to build amazing experiences that exceed our players' expectations. There will be a time to talk about our goals and projects, but today is not the day. Today, our focus is on supporting our people. Eat. You poop?
No, she was biting someone.
Oh, okay. Anyways, so this caused quite a bit of outrage on the internet and throughout the gaming industry, and specifically at Bungie, both on those who survived the layoffs and those who did not, because a lot of these problems are quite easy to avoid. And a story quickly came out that Bungie CEO Pete Parsons, who just posted, at least, had some hand in writing that, if not an intern, of writing that post that I just read, spent over $2.3 million buying classic cars after the Sony acquisition. This was uncovered the same day he made a statement saying they laid off 220 employees. It's also worth noting, PlayStationLifestyle.net has an article saying Bungie misled Sony about its financial position ahead of acquisition. Sony spent $3.6 million acquiring Bungie. Was it worth it? The aforementioned report comes from a veteran journalist, Tavin Bothel, who spoke to former Bungie employees to get to the bottom of things. At least one of them addressed what many analysts and the gaming community have been left puzzled by: Sony spending $3.6 billion to acquire the studio. The employees reckon that Sony overpaid for Bungie after the studio misled the PlayStation maker by selling, quote, things they were just not able to deliver. While Destiny 2, the final shape, has been wildly praised, Bothel has been told that the latest cuts were being planned long before the expansion released. What's even more interesting is that it seems Bungie was a bit desperate to strike a deal with Sony. One of Totilo's sources said that Bungie hadn't been acquired, it may have gone bankrupt. Quote, the alternate history is insolvency, they said.
That all you need is to read that first statement from Bungie, empty and worthless as it is, and then look at the fact that he was buying cars after the fact.
Yeah.
We've always covered these stories and basically said the exact same thing. Pay cuts can be taken by the CEOs. There could have been other avenues explored. Bad business decisions are put onto the developers themselves rather than, maybe the company taking a hit in some form or fashion. A lot of it really comes down to the executives making tons of money or taking bonuses while all this stuff goes on. And, for somebody like Bungie, it doesn't make any sense at all that they're ones who would be suffering in this way. Destiny has continuously had players to play it. They recently came out with a DLC that did well, that got players on it, and yet these are the kinds of stories that we end up hearing about. And it's really a sickness that we got in the games industry. Whether it's in the games journalist sector, as we just covered with Game Informer closing down, or the many stories of companies like this laying people off. Something's got to change. And maybe this, strike that's going on can lead to some positive change, but a lot of that seems to be on the AI side of things rather than making sure that developers aren't just laid off in this way.
Yeah. It's gross. It's sickening. You hear stories from developers talking about how they were talking to Pete, what the fuck is his last name?
Sellers?
Parsons,
yeah.
Pete Parsons. They were talking to him literally a week before the layoffs hit, and he was showing off pictures of his new cars and stuff like that, and it's like, bro, whoa, that's disgusting, because he clearly knew these layoffs were coming. Reportedly, they were coming before Final Shape even came out. So it's just like, what are we doing, man? Where is the humanity in this industry? It's gone.
That's how it is in a lot of industries. When there's money to be made, someone's got to suffer for it, and it's certainly not going to be the bigwigs.
Especially when it's an industry that has not developed substantial or meaningful unions in the way that they probably should, and that this talent, these devs, are just at the whims of billionaires who make more money in a year than they will in their entire lives. You just look at it all and go, like, yeah, man, it's time to get these fucks out of here. And so there has been a large and vocal call for Pete Parsons to step down as CEO of Bungie. But let's talk about the facts of the industry and sort of what's happening now for Bungie. So, we find it specifically. Fucking website scrolls a lot. First, we are deepening our integration in Sony in SIE, working to integrate 150 roles, roughly 12%, to form a new studio within Sony Sony Interactive Entertainment.
SIE?
SIE, yeah. To develop a new IP, some science fantasy thing. Cool, we'll see that in 6 years. I don't see how that's a smart move. This feels like doubling down on the same mistakes that got us in this position in the first place. And you look at Microsoft and how Microsoft has been handling its great acquisition of all these studios. Bungie was in a weird, unique thing where, like, okay, we're doing like basically an explicit like publication deal with Sony. Like, they own Bungie, but they don't own Bungie, know? And so now just diving deeper into Sony and having them have more and more control, and there were reports that, like, the initial deal was struck, and like if Bungie didn't meet certain goals, then Herman Hulst would come in and run Bungie a little bit more. That seems to be what's happening now, is they didn't meet goals, so now Herman Hulst is coming in to run it a little bit more and stuff like that. So I don't know. I don't know how to feel about that. It doesn't feel right. It feels sad. It feels like the death of a dev studio that has meant so much to so many people over so many different generations of gaming. It's not like this is a studio that put out hits 20 years ago and hasn't really done anything interesting since. No, this is a studio that is making big, impactful waves today, just like they were doing 20 years ago. So yeah, this is really upsetting and really unfortunate that I can only imagine it would become Bungie's in Washington. So what is this, Sony Washington now? Is this new studio coming forward? I'm interested to see a new IP from any Bungie team, but like, again, what does that mean? You look to Firewalk and what they're doing with Concord right now, and how Sony appears to be all behind Concord, but the gamer support is not there, so we can only expect Firewalk to be closed down shortly after that, which sucks because it's their first game.
And from what we played, a good one. But quality doesn't really matter in these cases.
Yeah.
It's about how much revenue you bring in. But going to that point, it's Destiny. It constantly has a player base. If that wasn't enough, what is enough? I always ask myself the same question whenever we hear these studios close. Sometimes it makes sense. You can put a spin on it, but then other ones you can't. And this one's one of them. And they just got bought too, which, if it saved the company, why are you then having to also
nearly $4 billion?
Yeah.
Where did it go? And why is this guy buying cars a year and a half, 2 years later for 2.3 million? How many jobs could that have saved?
Almost more than most of them.
Because this fucker didn't need those cars anyways.
Yeah. 220. Yeah, like what? What's the max salary it could be? Like, reasonably 100,000, but really like 80,000 might be the average for the game developers.
That's a lot of people when you start looking at it that way. And then also work on a canceled game over at Bungie called Payback. According to a report from Bloomberg, Payback would have been would have been played from a third-person perspective, a departure from the first-person perspective used in Destiny. It was said to have taken inspiration from popular free-to-play third-person games like Warframe and Genshin Impact, and would have allowed players to explore a large open world while cooperatively battling enemies and solving puzzles. This was going to be a Destiny spin-off. I didn't read that part. Playback was canceled 2 months ago, according to the report, and the majority of Bungie is now working on Marathon, a reboot of old Bungie IP from the 90s, reimagined as an extraction shooter. So, we're taking an IP that, frankly, nobody cares about. We're rebooting it, but we're using it, as a launching pad for Bungie in its new era of PlayStation. So, maybe that'll be something cool. But we're going off of a semi-successful fad of the time, being extraction shooters, which, yeah, sure, there's been a couple that have kind of popped off and had a little bit of popularity, but, it's not like what Battle Royales were doing in the 2010s, where you had games like PUBG and Fortnite and Warzone pop off and Apex Legends and do crazy things. There's not been any game on the equivalent of any one of those ones that I just mentioned in the extraction shooter genre. Maybe Marathon is that game. I don't know. But we continue to just keep seeming to make the same mistakes again and again and again. Let's play into fads of the current era. Let's take way too long to develop these games because games take a long time to develop because player expectations are high. And so now we have to deliver on a game that is going to be 4 years too late and past the point of any player interest just to have this team of developers who are so talented be laid off or shut down entirely. There just doesn't seem to be a win outside of, this greed has got to go. There's no reason that you motherfuckers should be making $20, $30, $50 million a year.
It's unionization. That's the key. Unionization and sectoral bargaining. But good luck with that.
I'm saying. Mm-hmm. No. I don't know. It's hard. It feels like we're just screaming into a brick wall every fucking week or every week that this happens, and it does keep happening every week. I was seeing statistics that if you combine this year and last year, we have crossed over 21,000 jobs lost in the games industry. That's unacceptable. Mm-hmm. It's too much. It's startling. And then on top of that, we're supposed to have an economic crash happen sometime in the next year or something like that.
It's seeming like with what's been going on recently, days.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just a matter of all right, well, what are we doing? And how do we do it? So
not the right decisions.
I'm not optimistic for the future of this industry, despite how much I still love it. So don't get that twisted.
Especially when you consider who makes the games, they have the passion for it as well.
Yeah.
It
More
exists.
so because they actually care about making it. And I'm just playing them because they're fun.
Right.
But anyways, so respect to all those who lost their jobs this last week, man. I'm sorry that happened. It's just not fair.
But we got to move on.
Got to move on.
As every week happens.
Moving on to topic number 3, Connor, your second penny of the day. Go ahead and take it away, my friend.
THQ Nordic has teased a new Darksiders game. This is from Video Game Chronicle, from Chris Scullion. At the end of his recent THQ Nordic Digital Showcase, a teaser trailer revealed that Darksiders is returning in some form. The teaser shows the Charred Council from the series who shout "Horsemen" before the phrase "Be prepared to write again" is shown. THQ Nordic confirmed on the Xbox Wire blog that the teaser referred to a new Darksiders game, but didn't confirm whether it was a sequel, a remaster, or a remake. The foreboding rumble quote, "The foreboding rumble of caverns, eons old," it reads. Embers swirl through the air, cast up from pools of bubbling lava. 3 enormous heads, hewn from otherworldly stone, suddenly burst into life with mystical flame. The Charred Council roar a single word in unison. Horseman. Quote, "It won't be long until we reveal more about where the Darksiders series is going next, but for now, know this. The 4 horsemen will ride again." There have been 3 main games in the Darksiders series to date, with each putting the player in the role of a different horseman of the apocalypse. War in Darksiders, Death in Darksiders 2, and Fury in Darksiders 3. There was also a top-down spin-off called Darksiders Genesis, released in 2019, in which players controlled the 4th horseman, Strife. The first 2 games have received enhanced editions with Darksiders Warmaster. Yeah. So, I played Darksiders back when I was a wee lad. I had fun with it at the time, but I kind of at a certain point was like, okay, I'm done with it. I feel like if we were to play it now, we would find it to be an average game. not really anything worthy of note besides how cool the main character looks, War. I played Darksiders 2. Very, very fun game. I actually want to go back and play that. I did fairly recently, and I still had fun with it. Classic, not too complicated action-adventure game with a heavy emphasis on puzzles. It's a fun game. Once again, cool main character. I didn't play the other ones, though I do know the top-down... Well, first of all, Darksiders 3 apparently wasn't that great. Darksiders Genesis, I heard, was good. The trailer is very, very fun. Strife is kind of like the whimsical kind of character, whereas the other three are more serious. So I'm somewhat familiar with the Darksiders series. I wouldn't call myself a fan, but it's been a while since we've had a new game, and really we haven't seen a progression in the story of Darksiders since 1, where it kind of left on a cliffhanger. Everything else since then has been a prequel, which is disappointing because you have maybe it's not so disappointing now, because now we have all the 4 horsemen that have appeared in a game in one way or another. I think an interesting way to take it would be to do a sequel going off of 1, where you have access to all of the horsemen. One of the main issues is that in this teaser, they refer to a horseman, not a horsemen. And seeing as how Strife hasn't had his own traditional Darksiders game, it's very likely it'll also be about him and whatever journey he decides to go on. So really, those are the only 2 paths I can see themselves going down. I don't see the point in going some weird spin-off route or prequel route when there's not much value really to be gained from there. We've seen all the horsemen. Let's see, Darksiders in its truest form. Because, like I said, 3 was definitely a step back from 2 based off of the reception. And the game has charm. And the game has, core gameplay that can be expounded upon to create a pretty, unique, fun, well, maybe not unique, but seriously exceptional gaming experience that Darksiders has yet to see. So I'm happy that we're finally, getting another entry and that we're not ditching it. I know you don't really have much experience with Darksiders.
No, I really don't. But optically, from the outside, Darksiders to me finds itself in a very similar spot to where God of War found itself after Ascension. Where we had our peaks, and then we've had some not awesome parts, and then we had some cool whatever spin-off stuff. So to me, Darksiders is an IP of old at this point that needs some reinvention, I would think, to capture any type of attention. I do not think a Darksiders 4 and just a sequel to what has come before, a direct sequel to what has come before, is a way to garner any interest in this. I think that time is kind of over.
Which is
why I would say a way to make that interesting is maybe not in the same ways, but in the same effect of we need a God of War 2018ification of Darksiders as a series. Now, I'm not saying put it over the shoulder, tight camera over the shoulder and, that type of combat or anything like that. I'm just saying, we need a dramatic shift in that form to kind of put Darksiders in a meaningful way back on the map. Because I truly believe if they just do another one, all right, it's Darksiders. We've all played Darksiders. Cool. That's cool for one more game. And then what do we and then the IP just quietly dies and that studio either gets shelved or something. I don't know.
Which is why I think I'm more leaning on the side of them having Strife have his own game, because it's a way to introduce a really fun character. Because his own, like I said, War, very stoic and serious. Death, very stoic and serious. Fury, kind of crazy, pretty fiery, I guess you could say. But Strife, he acts kind of like basically a Nathan Drake, a Deadpool, guy who's incredibly whimsical in his setting and just kind of seems to have fun. I think that'd be a good way to introduce new players to the Darksiders format and the series and be able to prepare for that sequel. Because I do think a sequel should happen in one way or another due to the fact that I see the best way to make a progression of a Darksiders franchise is to have 4 different characters that you can play that you switch off either by choice or for narrative purposes.
That would have been cool 15 years ago when Darksiders was hot, but today, you can't just throw 4 characters at us and have us care.
No, it's not really care. It's more from gameplay perspective rather than narrative reasons.
Yeah, I agree. The build-up to there is there, or the build-up to that is there, but it took too long and the reception was mixed, so, I just don't see why they would do that.
And the games are spaced out pretty heavily. I can't remember when Darksiders 2 had to come out in 2013 or 14 or something like that. and Fury not until like maybe 4 years later or something like that, which when a game doesn't have enough momentum to keep carrying it, like Darksiders, you need to do something special. Which, I mean, if they're teasing it, maybe they have some kind of build-up that they're leading to really catch people's attention. And I hope they do, because they are good games.
On top of that, you have a whole generation of players who don't know a goddamn thing about Darksiders.
Yeah.
Like, because it wasn't the most popular thing in the world when it came out. I mean, it was, popular enough for sequels, and, they were there. But they were very much like B, probably even C tier level games, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so...
B with Darksiders 2, C with 1.
Yeah, like just in terms of popularity.
Like,
I see. They were fans, but like, you can tell the story of video games without a Darksiders.
You remember the Tobuscus literal trailer for Darksiders 2?
No.
Don't?
No, I only remember the Assassin's Creed ones.
Damn, really?
Yeah.
Lame-o.
Those are the only ones that mattered.
No, they weren't.
But, I mean, that's another example of a game series from that era that, like, was popular. It was very popular in some cases and needed to evolve to keep going. And so, yeah, I think...
Assassin's Creed did.
I think Darksiders needs a dramatic shift. I don't even think you put a fucking number on it. Like,
no, yeah, that makes sense.
Maybe you just call it Darksiders, and it's Darksiders 2026, and we call it that, but it's just Darksiders, that's just what it is, and we sort of rebrand what a Darksiders game is.
If that would help it get up into the higher echelon of gaming, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I think following a formula set in 2008, it's just not going to work. It just won't, which is unfortunate because I have nostalgia for that type of game, but like... we go back and play those old games, and we go, all right, yeah, there's a reason why we've moved away from this. Yes, no?
No, that makes sense. I mean, like, as someone who isn't, familiar with the games, you're the kind of person that would need to be attracted to it, and so it makes sense.
So, I don't know. It's weird, but, it's one of those things, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. Moving on, story number 4, our final topic of the day, my final penny of the day. Palworld developer says playing the same game all the time is not healthy for players or the industry. This is from Chris Scullion at VGC News. A member of the Palworld development team says that it isn't healthy to play the same game all the time if it wasn't created with long-term gameplay in mind. Speaking to the Going Indie YouTube channel, the game's community manager, John Buckley, better known to players as Bucky, responded to claims that Palworld is a, quote, dead game because its daily peak concurrent players count is around 60,000 rather than the more than 2 million it hit at launch. Buckley argued that the game was never designed to be played forever and that doing so serves no purpose to players. According to Buckley, if players continue to play the same title, it will enforce the belief among publishers and developers that more live service games are the way forward, diluting the market. Quote, I don't think you need to be pushing yourself to play the same game all the time, Buckley said. It's not healthy for us. It's not healthy for developers. It's not healthy for gamers. It's not healthy for gaming media. And it's just not healthy for our industry because the more we push this kind of narrative, the more very large companies are going to just say gamers want more live service. And we're going to get more of these soulless live service games that come out, then get shut down 9 to 12 months later because they're not making enough money. And we all lose in that case. Instead, Buckley said players should play a wider variety of games, especially indie games, to focus more on having fun than committing to a single game like Palworld. Quote, play all the indies you can, he said. Spend as much money on indies as you can. Really support the guides who are trying to make fun games. I think he meant to say guys there. I think that's a mistranslation.
Probably,
there.
yeah.
Who cares if it's only 5 people playing it? Just enjoy yourself. Just enjoy games. I don't think it needs to be any more complex than that. This isn't the first time Buckley has responded to discourse about Palworld's dropping player count by encouraging players to broaden their horizons. Back in February, Buckley advised fans to try playing other games while they wait for Palworld content updates, saying a drop in players is entirely fine because Palworld isn't the sort of games designed to regularly give players new content. And yeah,
Great points all around.
Great points all around. Really well spoken there. Here's the thing is that games aren't meant to be played, and that's the thing you play, Like, I understand we live in a world of Fortnite and 2K and, now NCAA where, like, hey, this is just, in Call of Duty, this is just what I play, and I play it all the time, and this is where my friends go to hang out and stuff like that. You see it around the industry in totality. People call Helldivers 2 a dead game. Helldivers 2? Are you fucking kidding me? Helldivers 2 is more than it ever was supposed to be. And it's incredible that it even got to that point. And this whole idea of just like a drop in player count, can you still find a game? Can you still find people to play with? Yeah? Well, then it's not a dead game, isn't it? We just reviewed, or we're going to review if you keep watching this episode, Doom 2016. That has a multiplayer mode that is dead. There are no players in that multiplayer mode. 0 players, you know? It's not so much a it's a dead game, you can't like play. It's just like it's just less popular than it used to be, and that's fine. Why are you playing the most popular game in the world and only the most popular game in the world? That's boring.
There are games that are able to occupy that space of continuously getting value out of it. The ones you said before, Call of Duty obviously has existed as long as it has because that multiplayer is so cyclical, and they always come out with new games, and so they just continue on that trend over and over and over. But you definitely saw a trend of a ton of other people wanting to get in on that slice of pie because it looked nice from the outside.
Yeah.
But as more and more and more people did that you saw more closures happen. In fact, live service games, while they were getting amped up by a lot of game studios, like it was Sony that was the one that had a bunch in.
Yeah, they had like 12.
12. And then what'd you see them do? Cancel all of them.
Bring it down to 6.
Because they realized, well, this is not the trend we should continue to follow. Palworld, honestly, whenever I kept hearing about this game, it never occurred to me it was a live service game, or it was supposed to be treated as such.
It's not.
And yet that's kind of how people acted about it.
Yeah.
And now that the player count has dropped, you see people say it's a dead game because it had that expectation and that, that framing of being a live service game. Concord. A great game from what we played in that beta, but it's a live service game and people are tired of those. People have other ones to go to that they've already have, hours and hours of progression and unlockables in. They have not that much incentive to go and hop on the next new live service game. And, I think we're just going to continue to see more and more developers echo this same viewpoint. It's not sustainable, and in the same way, it's not sustainable to continue to have, one game released every 6 or 8 years, however long it's going to continue to make to, push out these, bigger and better games. It's a weird time for the industry, kind of in a transitionary period. Not only with this, but also with all the layoffs that occur and the grander economy possibly kind of having some problems down the line. It's uncertain right now and difficult to navigate, but I think it's only going to increase.
Also, I just don't like the trend that has been always the case in the industry or whatever. Like, I understand video games are expensive, and you want to get the best bang for your buck out of them. So, like, it's really cool when a game can give you 100 hours of content for the same price as a game that can only give you 12 hours. Yeah, that's cool. But, like, sometimes those 12 hours mean so much more than the 100 hours, and I would rather experience and re-experience those same 12 hours than play 100 hours of the next Far Cry game. Like, I would just rather do that. Helldivers 2 sold at $40-$50 and was great for about 20 hours because there was about 20 hours of content. I put that down and I moved on to the next one. Here's the thing, is I understand wanting to get the most bang for your buck. Your $70 matters. Buy more games. like invest more into the hobby that you like, man. Like, and I understand that, like, some games are free to play, and I have the same amount of fun on those, and that's great. It's great that fucking Fortnite is free. It's great that Valorant is free, and you can play for hundreds of hours on those games and never get bored. That's fantastic. But if you are getting bored, don't complain that other games are asking for money. Just fucking do yourself a favor and buy them. Like, it's okay to buy a video game.
Elitist prick.
How?
Not
In
only
what way?
Spending money, and we're the gaming guys, dude. Everyone has to be on our level. Tavin, too great for that.
I'm not saying that,
to
but
buy
like,
as many games.
I think complaining about Concord being $40 is fucking crazy to me.
Well, yeah.
Like, that's insane to me.
It'd be stupid if it was 70, but
Complaining that Spider-Man 2 is $70 is crazy to me. That's insane. That game's worth $70.
Spider-Man 2?
Yeah, you can maybe not like it that much, but it's worth $70 fucking dollars. A lot of people fucking worked on it.
I wonder if we're going to see those layoffs.
I think this product is worth money.
Palworld?
And you're getting it. No, us
Oh.
is worth money, and you're getting it for free right now because we care. But it's a lot of fucking work.
We also can't charge you.
We also can't charge you. I mean, we can, but like nobody's gonna buy it. You know, it's a lot of fucking work to do that, and it's exponentially more work to do what these game devs are doing. It's so much work, and that always gets lost. And I just think, like, I'm sorry, you fucking cheapskates need to shut the fuck up.
I think you're being way too critical. I mean, it's already stupid
How?
they
Why?
raised game prices, but also like
Everything else got raised, and I'm not saying that's good too, but it makes sense.
But
if everything else is going up, yeah, video games are going to go up too.
Everything is, but video games are a different kind of thing. That's $70. That's a large. It's already a bigger asking price than, you know, let's say a fucking meal or a Blu-ray of a movie or something like that.
Like,
or going to the
I'm
theaters.
sorry, 10 out of 10 times, I value a video game experience more than spending $50 at a restaurant.
But the problem is that it's more price. It's a price increase for the exact same thing. You know, you mentioned Spider-Man 2. It's not any bigger or more full of stuff to do in it than games that came out 10 years ago.
It
And
quite
yet
literally
demands
is
higher.
bigger and more stuff to do and loads faster and plays faster, and there's more things to do in them in the gameplay loop than games that came out 10 years ago. You're not going to gaslight me into that. I played the games from 10 years ago.
That's not true at all. You have tons of RPGs. You have tons of, I mean, if this is obviously not the same type of game.
Compare
MMOs,
Spider-Man 2 to Batman Arkham Asylum.
That's not what I'm comparing it to. I'm comparing it to all the other games, not ones that occupy the exact same space as it, but also just cost less money.
But then what are you comparing here? Because I'm sorry, that Spider-Man 2 gameplay is more engaging and entertaining than the moment-to-moment gameplay of a Baldur's Gate 3 for me. Now that's a genre preference, you know. And again, I'm saying, hey, if you like this genre, fucking support it. If you like this thing, support it. Don't criticize it because it's not as big as you want it to be.
But even so, now I'm actually saying elitist as an actual criticism to say, oh, you don't spend money on this thing? Spend it, pussy. It's like, that's incredibly douchebaggy to say, that's your problem.
That's fine, then shut the fuck up.
No. That's not fucking just a simple thing of like, you don't pay enough money, so you can't complain.
That's like, once again,
that's like saying an elitist thing of, I pay more money, I pay the money, so I can say and be critical as I want to be, you can't be because you don't pay more money.
You're misconstruing my argument here. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying at all. Your $70 is valuable, and you should get value for it. My thing is that you are getting value for it. So why are you complaining about it? Because Fortnite is free? Fortnite is not the most valuable gaming experience you can have on the market. Yes, it has a lot of content. Yes, you can spend hundreds of hours in it. Is that hundreds of hours just as fun as a lot of other games? Maybe, maybe not. But to then assume that every game should follow that format is the same reason why Bungie just shut down a fucking studio.
But, okay, now you're kind of just creating an argument for your own purposes. Who's saying that tons and tons of games need to be free? Like Spider-Man 2. Okay, are you going to pull up people online, just random internet people?
Because this is the problem. This is what people are saying. This is why we are in this situation, Connor. Just because you live in your fucking bubble and you don't read these things.
Dude, you're saying you're a bubble too. You're just saying that everyone's
I'm
not
literally
paying enough
pulling
money.
up all these people who disagree with something that I say.
Okay, you find people who disagree with you. It's the internet. Dude, you can't go to our channel, which is not emblematic of most people, and for something that people are reacting to. You're including reactionary comments as the general standard for how people
You're not
think.
reading. Then you're not listening to what the people are saying, dude.
Dude,
that's
you're
the
just
same reason that people are doing the same thing to Concord
Dude,
right now.
I
and that game
recognize-
is valuable and worth some money. Now, is it worth $40? That's up to you to decide. So you either buy it or you don't. But to hold every game at the standard that of Fortnite, Valorant, Call of Duty, Warzone, that all these things need to be free. Hey, these things are all held in the companies of multi-billion-dollar companies that do not care if this game succeeds or not. So I'm talking about the artists that are working to give you an experience that means something. I'm talking about the Doom 2016s. I'm talking about the Last of Us's. I'm talking about, let's go fucking indie with it. The Unicorn Overlords. Let's go the Palworlds of the world. Hey, Palworld was free on Game Pass, but is that worth $70? No, but it didn't sell at $70. You know? But it's still worth money. Somebody fucking tried.
Yeah. But you bring up Palworld, who's complaining about that? You say that you look at comments. That seems to be like you just look at comments, and that's your perspective of how things are. This is the general
conversation of people online. This is why people look at a Helldivers 2 and call that a dead game, even though the numbers that Helldivers 2 put up right now dwarf the numbers that the first game had.
I understand what you're saying, and it's legitimate criticisms, but you're overblowing how grand those arguments are. Most people who played Helldivers 2, they went in like us,
Connor,
had a great experience, and then they left.
People like this are why Sony is developing 12 different live service games at once in an era of gaming where people don't want that anymore.
They're not doing 12, though. They canceled it. So if you're saying that, then they read.
And how many layoffs happened?
Tons. It doesn't matter.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter if people pay money or don't. They increase game prices. They said they're going to go back into investors. They lied, and they fired them anyway. We just covered a story where a guy's spending it on fucking cars. Do you think calling for people to say, you have to spend more money, it's on you, that perpetuates the elitism of
I'm not saying it's just this. It is a multitude of things. And people, the people's expectations to get 200 hours out of a single fucking video game that they got for free should not be an across-the-board expectation of players. We have been talking for weeks about how we have nostalgia for games that had a single player and a multiplayer. And you didn't play them for 100 hours. You played the 15-hour single-player campaign. Maybe it was shorter than that. Honestly, it was probably closer to 8 to 12 hours. And then you enjoyed that. That was enough. And then you had a multiplayer that was tacked on and kind of shitty, but maybe you played it with your fucking friends and had fun for a couple of weekends, right? We have nostalgia for that. I want games to go back to that. I want games to look shittier, be smaller, and have developers who have a livable work-life balance cycle, as opposed to having them forced to shit out Destiny expansion after Destiny expansion after Destiny expansion for some corporate overlord who buys $2.3 million worth of cars. I'm way more okay with spending an increased price of $70 from $60. $10 really not that big of a deal. And if you adjust for inflation, they're still cheaper than games from the 90s. So what the fuck are we talking about? Do you want to play a video game or not? Do you want the industry to live or not? Is it a war on two fronts? Abso-fucking-lutely. But I'll fucking fight it because I fucking care. Not just because of my dumb entertainment, but because there are people who spend hundreds and hundreds of hours working to put out these shitty dead games after 2 months or after a weekend that you fuckers don't fucking care about anymore. Art used to mean something. And they're still putting out great fucking work.
That's all true.
So what are we talking about?
That's the thing.
Just buy a fucking video game.
Again, you're just putting all of the onus on this figure that you've created in your mind.
Nobody complains. Nobody complains about going to the movie theaters and buying a ticket for a movie. Nobody fucking complains about that. Nobody complains, or people didn't used to complain about buying a DVD.
They complain about the snacks.
And the snacks are outrageous, right? Right, but that's the chain. That's not the creators.
Yeah, no.
Right, that's the movie theater chain.
Of course,
and of course, you should support a movie theater chain as well. But the prices are getting ridiculous. They are. It cost us $60 to get 2 popcorns, a couple boxes of candies, and 2 bottles of water. That's ridiculous, right? That's outrageous. So yeah, and again, the rising cost of everything is fucking annoying. I hate it too. But guys, we as the consumer cannot let the standard be free to play. We cannot let the standard be Game Pass. We cannot let the standard be these cheap bullshit ass deals that are hurting the industry. It's clearly the wrong way to go.
It is, certainly. My, once again, issue is that's the main thing people are advocating for. It just doesn't seem to be the case. Most people are, a lot of people who play games, they're fine with spending their, 1, 2, 3 games a year and paying $70 for it, even if they do complain, like me, for example.
Then why are my comments filled with Spider-Man 2 was a great game for a video that all that video says is Spider-Man 2 was a great game and it got nitpicked to death?
It's because people see someone praising something that they don't like, and because they spend all their time on the internet, they say, I'm going to go comment on that guy's, views and say how stupid he is and wrong and make dumb points. All those people, I didn't read the actual comments, guaranteed they're probably stupid. Probably brought them up. But once again, it's hard, you cannot, and you might be right. I'll give you this olive branch, because maybe most people do think that way, but we have no way of knowing. It's all our perceptions, and that's all we got. Like you say, I do live in a bubble, but I recognize that. And not all the time, but I do recognize that
right,
sometimes.
No, and I do too, but this is my argument of people who live outside of my bubble. Mm-hmm. My bubble thinks like I do.
Yeah.
Right? And I try to listen and pay attention, and guess what? that's when you look at the overall shifts in the gaming market and what games succeed and fail and stuff, it's because you need to get out of your bubble and realize, oh man, I fucking loved this game. Everybody I know loved this game. Why did it fail? Well, because other people didn't love this game, right? Or other people felt that it charged too much, even though it had been worked on for 5 years with a team of like 100 people or whatever the fuck. I forget how many people Firewalk has or whatever, you know? And it's just like, what are we doing? Why is this the standard now? Like, you had to pay for Overwatch when it came out, man.
$60.
It was full priced.
But that, once again,
multiplayer games aren't even full priced anymore, which I think is also shitty if you think about it, because there's nothing more or less value to a game, whether it's multiplayer or single player. It just plays to a different audience.
It really comes down to the model of live service games getting their money not on the initial purchase, but on everything that comes after the fact. But most games don't offer that. Most games do just give you the experience of you're buying this for the tailor-made experience that we are marketing to you. Spider-Man 2, narrative, action, adventure, swing around New York, but then that compared to something like Concord or, Concord, Helldivers, smaller priced games that, like you say, they don't really have a reason besides trying to cater to the market of who play those kinds of games, the live service games, which in those cases, of course, they're going to want to pay less because they have the expectation due to the bigwigs setting that expectation. I think they're wrong, same as you, but how many people actually complain about all games like that as opposed to live service and multiplayer games? Which I think you would definitely find people say, yeah, we should be free. Why is it not free? Even if it doesn't really need to be or should be free. But that's a whole different type of gaming than gaming as a whole. I don't know if I made my point all that well, but
I was a little lost there. I don't, because you criticize the move to $70 a lot more than I do.
Yeah.
And my thing is like, well, if everything's more fucking expensive and video games were stuck at $60 for a long ass time, like, you don't see successful industries stick to a single price point for a long time. And for like $10, yes, it's more. And I'm not trying to devalue that, because some people that $10 means do they get to keep the lights on for the next month. I understand that. But $10 relatively is not that much more than 70 is not that much more than 60. And it's not like they're changing the price every month. It's one price change that will probably last at least to the end of the generation, and then from there, now we have to have the question again of if that's the right move or not. I would say no, but again, there didn't used to be a pricing model for video games. Some games did cost $100 in the 90s, in the 80s. They would cost that much, That's what they would sell for. And now there's a standard to it, and not every game is made the same. Some are more expensive than others, and so the fact that they're all cost around the same, one of 3 different tier levels being $70, $40 free, that's insane. I mean, there's like a $20 range in there too, but that's insane that we have that level of tiered systems and structure. And there's like a $3 game or whatever, but you can't change that price. It's not even like a oh, we get paid up front, all right, and then you can say, oh, we'll discount it at in 8 months or whatever. Yeah, but that's not guaranteed. It's not guaranteed. There's not a guaranteed slope of amount that it will cost at a certain amount of time, and it's not like they're gonna get stupid cheap outside of when you go and play them years later. And guys, spoilers, I'm not talking about games you just buy at launch. I'm talking about fucking Doom is what, $9 right now? Go fucking buy it and play it. That still supports id. That still supports Bethesda games and supports Xbox. So maybe if you get off your ass and go play this game that's been great for almost a decade, yeah, you got to put forward a little bit of money to go play it. But if you go play it, maybe that helps in the case of not as so many people need to get laid off when it comes time.
See, that's the thing, because I do talk about the $10 price increase. I would have forgotten about it a while ago. In fact, the price amount isn't really what grinds my gears. It's the justification that was given. Yeah. Games cost more. We want to reinvest in our employees.
Which they do.
Yeah, they do. But the other big bit It does not go back to the employees.
Well, did you also see, because I saw an infographic go around on the internet this last week. It was like all of Rockstar's games and the years that they were released or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And in the 2000s and even in like early 90s and stuff, it would be like 3-4 games a year. And then it turned into 1 or 2 games a year. Then it turned into 1 game a year. And then it turned to 1 game every couple of years. And now we're at 1 game every 5 to 6.
Which is where your cheaper, not as nice-looking games come into play to offset that issue. But unfortunately...
Which is where they would have, right? Yeah. There was big Ted Pole, like lightning strike, your Grand Theft Auto 3 and 4 and so forth would come through. And then there was a bully. And then there was a manhunt. And
Red Dead Revolver.
Yeah, like there was like bullshit like that. And those don't exist anymore. Every single game has to be fucking gorgeous. Every single game has to have 30 hours of content or it's not worth money. Every single game needs to have premier voice acting and innovative quests and has to be original, like it's just not sustainable. So you're watching these devs and these executives react to that conversation and shore it all up and say, nope, every single game has to be, boom, hundreds of millions of dollars in sales or we close the studio down.
But isn't the expansion of those features entirely dependent on those who make the games rather than what the developers demand? Because at the end of the day, if you frame it in the sense of gamers want better graphics, they want more content in the game.
Right.
The people who decide to put that in the game to start saying, hey, this is the new expectation are not the developers really. It's more the executives, I think, who determine why are we making this game? We want to make tons of money on the back end of it. Make Fortnite. Make Overwatch, what have you.
I mean, again, this is my point of it's a 2-front war.
Okay, yeah.
We need to have the conversation and check the Pete Parsons of the world who are spending millions of dollars on classic cars when your company is in the red. Mm-hmm. And then we also need to check the gamer who is entitled. I'm not saying every gamer is entitled, but there are entitled gamers out there.
I was saying before, that's not emblematic of everyone. It's emblematic of a certain group.
Right.
And
in the middle, you have creatives who are just trying to make cool shit.
Yeah.
Right? And that's where my fight is fuck this motherfucker who's buying $2.3 million worth of cars, but also fuck you who thinks every fucking video game should be free and have 100 hours of content.
Sure, yeah.
That takes time. Every hour of content probably takes 5 times as much to make that 1 hour, It takes us 6 hours to make 3 hours, and really it's a little bit more than that. And then, I have to sit here and feel guilty to ask you to edit a fucking YouTube short.
You don't have to.
Thank you. But, this is the battle that we have with what the internet turned the industry into. This is the battle that we have that what streaming services like Netflix and Hulu turned the industry into. Everybody wants everything on demand all the time, and it just can't happen that way. Now, what do we do in response to that? Stop subscribing to the fucking streaming services. Stop buying the fucking battle passes and buy a fucking indie game at $20.
You heard it here, everyone. Tavin is saying pirate games.
Nope.
Pirate movies.
Literally just said buy an indie game at $20.
Oh, you said...
Yeah, if you would listen to the whole fucking sentence.
Do all of this except for indie games. That's your stance.
No, just buy a fucking video game. Support the arts.
Mm-hmm.
Always been my stance. It always will be my stance. It's not... I promise you, the money isn't that, money's just not valuable in that way. Mm-hmm. I would rather have the experience than the money. What's the point of having $70 extra in my bank account and just have it continuously building $70 when I could go and I could play a Last of Us Part 2? I could go and I could play an Elden Ring, a Ghost of Tsushima, a fucking, what's a game I'm excited for? Astrobot, God, I hope. I don't think it will. I don't know if it is or is not or have not been confirmed. But if Astrobot is $70, I'm paying $70 for that game. I don't give a shit. The game looks awesome. I want to play it. I want to have that experience. Why do we value that less than hours? Time. What? And I understand time is money and you only have so much time in the day and you want to make sure that time is valuable and shit like that. I understand. That's where the voting with your wallet comes into play. But if the expectation is to have this all the fucking time, you're not going to get there. You're just not. And that's how we get people who think Spider-Man 2, which is a bigger game, has more complex combat systems, has better combat systems than so many other action games out there, think that it's not worth $70. I'm sorry, but it is. Now, like, and I have criticisms of that game. The third act, yeah, is kind of whatever, but the first 2 acts are fucking awesome. And there's moments in that game that I'm going to remember for the rest of my life, both as a video game and Spider-Man fan. What are we talking about? You know what I'm saying? Like,
this gaming world's just complicated.
And it's just like, hey, the $20 you spent on a fucking Fortnite Battle Pass, you could still play Fortnite and then go buy, I don't even know. What's a fucking popular indie game from the last 10 years? Fucking Among Us, you know?
Yeah, you can buy a couple with that.
Was Fall Guys free to play? I don't remember.
It's now free to play.
It is now free to play?
Yeah.
Yeah, things like that. Rocket League made its success off of $20,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Rocket League eventually became free to play, but it was $20 to start.
But
It also launched on PS Plus for free, and that what really and it's okay to soft launch something on free to play and then charge. I think, you know, I don't know. Is there a right solution to any of these problems? Yes and no, but like
we could think.
But like, my thing is like it's not just the greedy corporate executives. It's a large part of it. Fuck them too. But we need to have onus on ourselves as well.
Think about that.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be it for the Two Penny Gamescast. You're going to have a hell of a long episode this week, I already know, because that Doom review is decently chunked, but I have no idea how long it went because we got to edit like 10, 15 minutes out of it.
It might be going to 2 hours.
Yeah, I think it is. It's probably going 2 hours. So, which means, hey, by the way, anytime a runtime is over like an hour and a half, I have to export it out twice because I got to make an MP3 version too. Now the MP3 version takes no time at all, but it's just another thing that I got to do. So this is the content that we are providing for free. Like these are the things that like there's so many behind the scenes things that people don't fucking know about, and it's just like, well, if I'm doing this amount of work for this amount of product, and our product varies in quality, I just realized halfway through one of your rants that when we pulled the rankings up for the game club, I don't think Phil has a working microphone in that moment of the podcast. The rest of it is fine, but in that moment, I don't think he has a working mic. So
they'll pay us.
You know? Yeah, pay us, bitch. Yeah, we're worth $70. Until next time, have a great time. Make sure you like, subscribe, and all that. Let's get Phil in here and talk about Doom, please. What's poppin', players? Welcome back to a Two Penny Game Club, your monthly video game book club. I am your host, Tavin Bothel, here with my good friends and co-hosts. Say hello to the people, Connor Elliott.
Hello, and cheers.
Hey, and say hello to the people, Phil Shoemaker.
Yeah. How's it going?
We're here. We're here. Ladies and gentlemen, this is, of course, your Two Penny Game Club, your monthly video game book club in which me and the boys play a game in the background during the selected month, and then we come to you at the beginning of each new month with our review, and we rank it amongst our other games in the list. This month,
what do we play?
Connor, you had us play Dark Messiah of Might and Magic, and boy, oh boy, what a time it was, right, buddy? How was Dark?
I actually
Messiah?
had a lot to say about it.
Yeah.
So do I. In the first opening 15 minutes, you see a beautiful, large-breasted woman. It is fantastic. It is a number. What is it? You know what? Hades has lots of breasts as well. It is below Hades on the list, right below it. Better than Yakuza 0. That's just the way it is.
Anyways, this is, of course, a joke. If you've clicked on this video expecting for a different game, it's because we are reviewing that game. That game is Doom 2016. We tried playing Dark Messiah. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work.
It's
available.
I don't know what they're talking about.
It's available on Steam. Not really available anywhere else. It's kind of, unless you want to drag out an Xbox 360, which none of us currently have the hardware for. Or you do, but we're not doing that.
By the way, I'm going to bring that game back on the Xbox 360.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to spend $64 for that copy, which is the cheapest version I saw.
Okay, great. Awesome.
Wait, you had to log into Xbox 360 and buy it again?
No.
He's going on like eBay or...
Oh shit!
Yeah.
360 store shut down, so that's no longer an option.
I mean, that was in the middle of the month, though.
It
It
was.
was just a week ago.
But
A week ago.
trust me, guys, you're not done with that game yet. You are for a while, though. Because, you know what, Tavin? Let's let Phil know. Because we haven't told him the deal you and me reached.
Whoa.
Oh, you want to hold back, huh?
Oh, hang on.
Whoa.
Was there some collusion in terms of like vetoes later on, or what?
And-
Like,
Whoa.
Well, he's denying. I don't know what
I don't know
trying to
what's
shut down
happening. I don't know what's
Please.
happening.
Connor.
I would never go against the sanctity of the show.
Connor, please enlighten me on
I would never go
camera.
against the sanctity of the show.
Please enlighten
All
me
right.
on camera, Connor.
You know what? No, I'm not playing this game with you, Tavin. Listen, viewers.
So,
I'm not like this
we
guy.
had to pivot.
No. I'm not like this guy.
Mute his
I'm
mic.
not like him. Yeah. Fucking shut up. He tries to hide the truth. Pull the wool over your eyes. I don't. I'm trained as a journalist. That's not my purview. So the deal that we reached
Yeah.
is that for our personal picks of games, I am going to assist him in choosing his Metal Gear Solid games. In exchange, after that's gotten to 4, he's going to switch and help me get to Dark Souls 2. And
You're a fucking bitch.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Hey, I want to get through Demon Souls and Dark Souls 1 and get all
Oh
the
my
other special
God.
stuff. And that's the deal. That's
You're
how
a
we
piece
do.
of shit.
Could have been you.
You're a piece of shit.
Could have been you.
I made the deal.
What about? I wouldn't make that fucking deal.
Listen, you got the text first. You got the first text message. You know what I'm saying?
You offered him a deal?
I didn't offer him a deal.
I don't have any kind of message from Tavin
That's a
that
lie.
I have not responded
He's a
to.
lie. He's a liar.
I can
Tavin,
pull
you just
my
tried to lie a
DMs up and
second
show-
ago. Now we're supposed to
I'll
trust
pull my
you?
DMs and show Connor right now.
Anyway, so we had to pivot to Doom 2016 because we wanted to play a game that
Literally
you could just
nothing
load
to
up on a
do
good old
with
classic PlayStation
switching
5 and
Games at all. Nothing to do.
and all of that. Anyways,
that.
it was like a month
I'll-
ago
When?
when I asked you if you wanted to pick Sons of Liberty. Don't worry about it. So
It never
gentlemen,
happened.
yes, it did happen, but
It did happen, but I immediately said no.
Gentlemen, some quick facts for you, of course. Doom 2016 first released May 3rd, 13th, excuse me, 2016. See, this is when you motherfuckers throw me off my fucking little bastard.
I didn't do anything.
May 13th, 2016 on Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and Windows.
2 weeks before my birthday.
The highest scoring critic review is on Metacritic is for the Xbox One at 87%, but the other ones weren't too crazy either. We first pulled it up and it pulled up the Nintendo Switch because that's the most recent released version, and that's a 79. And both me and Connor went, that can't be right.
No.
So yeah, 85s to 70 to 87s is usually where it ranks on Metacritic. And sales, little tricky. We don't have hard sales numbers. We know it performed quite well at first.
Yeah.
And then when it was released on Switch, it did perform well there. So approximately on PC reached 500,000 copies before the end of May 2016, 1 million copies in August, and 2 million in July of July of 2017. It had 2 million. And then when Doom released for Switch, it was the fourth best-selling title of its debut week. Of course, you also have to add on PlayStation sales and Xbox sales. So you're looking in the realm of, well over 3, probably closer to 5 million copies amongst all the different versions of the title. So selling pretty well. Now, let's get into our thoughts on Doom. Doom 2016 is just a fucking blast. I don't know if there's a game that is more badass that we have played on this list to date. It is just balls to the wall action the whole time, and somehow the pacing never is interfered. It has great pacing, even though it's just constantly just blasting demons in the face and ripping and tearing guts apart and so forth. There should be a class studied in how they are able to keep it at such a fast-paced, frenetic, energetic pace up for so long. The game is never boring. The game is never frustrating. It never feels like, ugh, I don't want to do this right now. And it's just got superb first-person shooting combat. Absolutely. Hey, 343, this is how you should be taking notes for how Halo should feel. This is what Halo should feel like in the modern era. We don't need a sprint. We don't need loadouts and classes and things like that. We just need a fast movement speed, agile dudes with some big, meaty weapons. That's all we need for Halo to work. And then, on top of that, this game might have the best sound design of any game we've played up to this point. Like, from the way the guns sound when you shoot them, the pickups when you pick them up, the way the carcasses sound when you're ripping them apart. It's just excellent, superb, perfect sound design. The music, headbanger from go. Like, you are just rocking the fuck out from beginning to end. I love pretty much everything about this game. There's very little that I could even nitpick and find wrong with it outside of like, hey, it's kind of weird when Robot Man pulls you into a room and narrates to you for like 2 minutes, but then you're right back into it and it's right back to being awesome, right? Yeah, I just level design, exploration, gunplay, balance, like just the way that encounters are balanced and how each room kind of feels like a puzzle in itself on how you're going to engage with the enemies. And when things start getting rough, what do you switch to? You're like, what weapons do you pull out to be like, all right, I gotta do some heavy damage right now in this way. And I always found myself gravitating to whatever gun I felt worked best in the situation. There was not a weapon that went unused in my arsenal. Every single one has a purpose, and that's phenomenal game design. On top of that, the game's got character. From just how badass and like blood and gory it is, but like then it gets like a little cute and it hands you like easily one of the best collectibles of all time in the little Doom guy mini figurines that you can like, you know, you'll pick it up and he'll adjust the arm and give it a little fist bump. The secrets in this game, finding the hidden levels from the original Doom game spread across the game like this, like it's just the most rewarding experience that you can have playing a video game just based off of pure gameplay, like epic badassness. Doom knows exactly what it needs to be and executes on that perfectly. Now, does it have like this great amazing story? No. Is it getting me in my feelings? Not necessarily. But you don't want it to. That's not what you're here for when you're talking about Doom. And so it keeps all of the narration, it keeps all of the pulling control away from the player to as minimal as it can, and just says, go have fun. This game is peak, like, just go have fun and rock out. And there's very little like negative I can say to that. I think everything they do here works. Connor, you have had some experience with Doom 2016, but you've never beaten it before. Where are you at with Doom?
Until now, that is. You know, when this game came out, it seemed to come at a time where the fast-paced first-person shooters of yore didn't really have much, you know, presence in the gaming community.
Everything had to be realistic. Everything had to be grounded. Long-ass cutscenes for no reason.
And to be able to take those kinds of old games and contextualize it in a modern setting and do it as well as Doom did is pretty amazing. You know, the music, as Tavin touched on, carries every single, you know, great gameplay segment that this game has to offer just by pumping your blood full of iron. And the Doom Slayer himself has become, since this game came out, a video game cultural icon for a reason. The style of everything, whether it's you're ripping demons in half to the random little comedy bits, whether it's the, you know, actions of the Doom Slayer basically disregarding traditional protagonist, you know, logic of trying to make more complex, you know, nuanced decisions to just being this simple, brutal killing machine really adds a lot of charm to the game. Pair that with, as once again Tavin said, every single gun packing a major punch, coming with upgrades, 2 different upgrades that can be switched out, where effectively every single one you wanted to get and know how that exactly feels. In addition with things like the upgrade system, which I will say is a little bit lacking, can allow you to like pace up the game a little bit better depending on which upgrades you get. You know, being able to grab ledges quicker, being able to switch between mods quicker, being able to take less damage from your own weapons so you can go blasting creatures that, you know, are standing right in front of you with a rocket launcher. Everything seems to facilitate badassery, and the game does it extremely well. I found that some of the, you know, shooting arenas where you're running through, killing all these enemies, while the gameplay itself is incredibly solid, I felt like the arenas would kind of get bland and samey after a while, and I would basically get to a position where I'm just going circular, you know, to try and dodge enemies, and there's nothing really, you know, preventing me traversal-wise from doing that, and so the game is very easy on normal. Maybe, you know, I like to play normal games, normal modes on these kinds of games on this segment, so we can all have a concise opinion, but this is one that I think benefits from playing on hard mode. And frankly, if you play it on normal for the first time, there's things to go back to. The secrets you can find, the, you know, Argent energy, the mods that can, you know, well, the drones that can unlock more mods. If for some reason you didn't get a lot of that stuff your first playthrough, you'll have a little bit of entertainment trying to find those rather than just sinking into the gameplay the game has to offer. And, that combined with a fun gameplay loop gives this some replayability. The guns feel good. Yeah, I guess that's right. Tavin covered a lot of what we were talking about, why this game is good, but it's one of those that's super easy for anybody to play. Even somebody who's not really a big video game player could pick this game up and have fun with it because it's simple, but it's not too simple if you decide to raise it to hard. And
I put it on hard.
You put it on hard?
Yeah, from the jump.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wanted to, but I was like, I do all the games normal. I'm going to do this one normal. Keep the trend going.
Phil, where were you at with Doom 2016, your first time through it?
I really enjoyed it. I had a great time playing through Doom 2016, and I really agree with a lot of what you and Connor had to say. I thought that the level design was near immaculate. I do kind of agree with Connor in some points where things did get kind of samey in some of these arenas where you were just kind of running around,
big room, lots of demons,
almost like Black Ops Zombies, kind of like training them behind you in a way. At least with like some of the imps and like smaller enemies. I didn't really. I thought that fighting some of the enemies, like the enemy variety, is great. I just thought that some of the enemies were a lot more annoying in a bad way.
Oh, really?
Like I think they're called the Kako demons, like the
floating heads.
Floating heads. Yeah, I thought they were just really annoying, and I would try to get a visceral or whatever it's called. What was the
glory kill?
Glory kill. I would try to go for a glory kill, and they were almost always too far away from me to jump up and grab them. And you don't. When you're first interacting with these cacodemons, you only really have one longer range option, and that's the heavy assault rifle. You don't really get the it's like a
Gauss cannon.
The Gauss cannon. You don't get that till a little later. That one is probably one of my favorite weapons in the game.
Fire.
But like y'all were saying, a lot of these weapons are just as fun as other weapons to use. It's almost like you just have your own little like 7, I don't know how many there are, but like 7 tool kit of all these different things that can work. The only one that I why are you using this unless you're completely out of ammo for whatever reason, out of chainsaw, out of everything, is the pistol. That's just because you start with it. It's supposed to be kind of the pea shootery kind of weapon that, like, they even have a challenge in one of the levels to beat one of the harder enemies with the pistol. So that's kind of just like a novel type of weapon to use. One of those challenge run type things. I do think that at some point I will play through this game again on a harder difficulty, if not only just to get the trophy that's associated with completing some of the levels on a higher difficulty. But I thought that a lot of it was one of these games where when you do die, it's never like, oh man, that was such bullshit. It's like, oh, okay, I did this. I stood in this acid for a little too long, or
focus this guy first.
Right, exactly, exactly right. You just know almost immediately exactly where you went wrong, and then you immediately can go through and correct that. But I liked this game a lot, and I'm glad that we rolled it.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
There are 7 weapons. 8, including the BFG, 9, including the chainsaw.
Yeah.
I fucking nailed it.
And that's another thing where, like, the balance between weapons, like, yeah, they give you the infinite ammo little pea shooter pistol that does suck, right? But if you get it upgraded, the charge shot is pretty decent, right?
Yeah.
But I love a game or like a shooter of any kind where they go, all right, here's a shitty little pistol. It sucks, but it's got infinite ammo for those times that you're out of ammo. But to speak to, like, just structure of game design, they've got a perfect loop going on here between your main guns, the chainsaw, and the BFG. Mm-hmm. Of course, using your main guns regularly, but the chainsaw, you run up, get a glory kill with it. That's fucking brutal animations that are always fun to watch. Never get old, even if you see the same one again and again. And I love that you can experiment with different angles and come at enemies at different angles for glory kills.
And that works into fact with all the challenges you can do.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and the challenges for each level are fun to go after. Like, they're not... There's never a time where you're like, fuck, okay, yeah, all right, I'll go do this. No, every time you're like, oh, that's cool, let me try that.
And then, like, if you don't get it, you're like, oh, let me try it again to see if I can try it a different way.
Yeah. And even, like, finding all the secrets in the levels, I digressed. The balance of the combat where it's like, all right, I'm going to use the chainsaw to get ammo. That'll let me use my favorite guns again. And then, oh, shoot, I'm too overwhelmed. It doesn't matter what gun I pull out. BFG time, screen wipe. Really good, just full balance of it all. The speed, the agility you can get. The one thing that I think like doesn't matter so much is the runes. Connor, you talked about how like the upgrade trees are really basic and like, you know, a little lacking or whatever. I kind of like that they're lacking. I kind of like that it's just like, what do you want? More health, more ammo, more armor.
I was talking like, more of the like, you can jump ledges faster. Those ones you were saying are good. It's the grenades recharge faster. You know, the equipment recharges faster.
I like those too. Because it
I like
feels
the
like
lifesteal grenade.
It feels like you don't need them. Right, yeah, and that you could just get them, or you can get through the game without them, and but adding them on makes it feel additive and not like there's a lot of games where like they withhold upgrades to you that make it feel like, oh, this is a core component of the game, and you're just making the game actively less fun by withholding it from me until I get to a certain level or arbitrary level or whatever. Right, that doesn't feel this way for these upgrades, whether they're in the guns, the armor, or the like little like. Abilities or whatever. I do think the runes particularly don't have a huge effect on gameplay either, or it's kind of a set it and forget it type of thing for me.
For you, I understand, but to your point earlier,
you're saying runes.
Yeah,
I was saying rooms.
No, yeah, the runes that you get from the challenges, or the challenge runes, which those are fun. But yeah, like I just don't think they add a whole lot.
Well, to that point, I actually think those are more interesting than any of the upgrades besides the weapon upgrades that you can get. To your point earlier about how you would sometimes have issues with executions, one of them is that it allows you to do it at a farther distance away.
Oh, okay.
If you have an issue where you're constantly having to like go out of the way to pick up ammo, there's a way to do that. It allows tailoring to your gameplay experience in ways that you can enjoy the most. One of the jumps, one of them is that it allows jumps to give you more control in the air.
That's one of them. I said it, forget it. Like, it's just not even a thing.
I liked it, but I found other ones to be more what I would want to have equipped to my character. Sure. I think it allows for that extra customization that just elevates the gameplay slightly more, especially because
it gives it enough like personalize your flavor of Doom, but everybody's still having the same experience.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think I had I can't remember what all of my runes were, but two of them were the when you glory kill you get armor, and then the other one was when you get ammo.
Yes, did those two. Yeah, and then I did the one that was at a distance, which I would have had that same criticism as you did, but I never had that problem after I equipped that rune. So it was tailor made for me.
Yeah, I just don't have. I glory killed cacodemons at some point, but it was never my goal to glory kill one.
Sure.
No.
And it's just always like, all right, well, I can get it off of the little like
for
useless
me,
guys, or I can do it off of one of the Hell Knights or something like that.
Yeah. For me, it's one of those things where like anytime I had the opportunity to glory kill something, I almost always like, oh, I want it. I want to go for it. Just because it's fun, it's cool. But I just wanted to talk about how well I think that this game encourages like exploration.
Yes.
And just how good the maps are, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like, so like, you'll be going through a level and then you'll see that there's a room that's like locked off to you, right? So I, more often than any other time, I would run across that and be like, oh, how do I get in there? And so I would stop whatever I was doing, and I would exhaust literally every part of the map trying to see exactly where to go until like, okay, I guess I'll just go there later. And so then I would go like, or maybe one room later and be like, right there.
Wait, while we're on that topic, I found that while those secrets and the collectibles, the figures are cool, none of them really add that much to the game.
I disagree.
I think they're just like fun little things that if you like doing that kind of stuff, you guys are trophy gamers, so you'd more have a chance of liking that than me.
Tickles my brain.
All of those things. No, I disagree wholeheartedly. All of those things feed into the upgrade loop so well, or just like fun to get to where like it's just like why would you not want to?
Are you talking about the mission objectives?
No,
Like,
I'm-
it's
no,
attached
I'm
to that?
talking. No, I'm talking like the little chips you pull out of the dead soldiers to get upgrades for your armor and stuff. Or,
Oh, yeah, no,
or finding the challenge
That-
runes that like you press on the green.
Let me
stone or
specify.
whatever.
Let me specify. It's the collectibles and the secrets, not the.
Well, the secrets are those.
Yeah, those are the secrets.
Oh, they were. I thought I was missing like a bunch of like random fucking rooms and weird small things.
No.
Oh,
no,
I was just like, well, I guess I just missed those.
Secrets apply to literally everything.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, never mind.
It'll
I'll take that
literally
back.
pop up on screen. Secret found.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes a secret is just health and ammo.
Wait,
Like, you
those
know.
are lacking, but most of them are.
Yeah,
like you
but
said,
most of them are like,
yeah.
here's a Doom figurine, here's a challenge room,
Here's a drone.
here's an upgrade or a drone.
Praetor
yeah.
token. So they
Yeah.
can-
Yeah. So yeah, it's all stuff like
I was
that.
a big fan of. I think it was.
Or this game does my favorite thing that I fucking love, and all video games need to do it. You can get things early. This game it's in the form of weapons.
Yeah.
I got the rocket launcher before I got the assault rifle.
Same.
See,
And I was like, oh shit,
Yeah, so did I.
cool.
I thought that was cool, but the pacing of the game plus the size of the game makes it to where by the end of the time I finished it, while I thought that was cool initially, I'm like, well, this wouldn't really made that much of a difference at all because I just got it shortly afterwards. It's not like there's a big gap.
I mean,
in between you get those things.
I feel like I missed where they gave you the assault rifle. I feel like I missed that because it should be an early weapon, right?
I honestly didn't even like put it together that I like got it early.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, kind of weird that they give you the rocket launcher before like an assault rifle.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Or like the minigun, there's like a secret little room in one of the big battle arenas, and it's like secret found.
Yeah,
Here's a
yeah,
minigun.
Here's
Oh
the minigun.
shit, cool. I think every game should have some version of you can get this early.
I really
thing.
like the I think it's a suit upgrade where you can make it to where like your controller vibrates when you're close to a secret.
Yeah, and then the radar like glows and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's a great one. Yeah, it's just I feel like any critique you could have of the game, at least in a single player campaign, there's something to counteract it. There's something that goes, yeah, that, but this. And it's like, wouldn't you rather have the but this? And I feel like more often than not, absolutely, you would rather have the but this.
Absolutely.
Is it even worth talking about multiplayer?
Well, this fucker couldn't get up out of his bed to come
one
join
time.
us.
If it was any other time,
You say
besides
that,
just
Connor?
once,
You say that, Connor? 45 minutes into us playing multiplayer, I saw you in the kitchen.
I got water. I'm thirsty.
So here's the thing. The multiplayer at launch, I played it where there was an active player base, and it wasn't great. Like, it was okay. There was some fun to be had, but it definitely wasn't more than like a weekend. I think you, me, and the guys tried it like once, and then maybe I played like an extra couple of days or whatever, and then stopped. It's not fantastic, but there is fun to be had in it. The only problem is, at least on PlayStation, I'm hearing on Steam it's different, but at least on PlayStation, just ignore it. At least on PlayStation, the servers are dead. There are exactly 0 players in the servers. Like there's just nobody. There's just nobody to play against right there. So me and Phil spent one night playing in custom games.
What, like 45 minutes to an hour?
We probably played over an hour.
Really?
Honestly, yeah.
I don't remember.
And
It's late.
And we had some fun with that. There was some joy of like the balance of just like fighting each other. We didn't get any progression, so like we were just stuck with basic, not even create your own loadouts, just the basic loadouts that they give you, which is a sign of the times, because when's the last time you fucking seen a progression system like that?
Right.
You know?
It's also one of those things where I've kind of I don't think I'm all the way okay with it yet, but I know I'm not going to platinum this game because there's multiplayer trophies.
Are there really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Kills it
that
for you
sucks.
now too, huh?
I already have it.
Oh shit!
I already
Okay.
have it. But I'll say this is a shitty ass platinum trophy run. You have to play. There's also a user generated part of the game where
Snap
you get
map.
to create your own levels and snap maps and stuff like that. And yeah, I played around with some of those. They were back in the day. They were almost always terrible. And you have to play every single tutorial for the snap map, and that takes like 3 hours. of, like,
Jesus, really?
Maybe not that long. It felt like 3 hours. Though.
Oh, okay.
It's a long time, and it's boring and annoying, and like it's so tedious, and so
This is like their forge mode or whatever. Like,
yeah, it's essentially that. They try to like simplify it because you're creating levels for players to run through and so forth, but nobody's creative enough to actually
like
come up with
a
anything good.
Mario Maker type thing.
Yeah, kind of that
cool.
type thing. Yeah, like cool idea, but not necessary, and
Poor
you know,
execution.
so yeah, so it's one of those things where it's just like they nailed what they were going for so hard, but the era that this game came out of, they were like, well, you got to have something to have a community or something going on, right?
Very often, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
As we've talked about in the past.
Well, I was saying to Phil, this is the end of that era of great single player games having tacked on multiplayers.
Yep.
This is like the very end of that. So it was like this, and then like you didn't really get too many more examples after this game came out. And I'll be honest, even though it's not great, I'd still wish that multiplayer was active. I'd probably be playing a little bit more of it, like just to live in the world of Doom a little bit more, just to have the gameplay a little bit more. Connor, you can get glory kills in multiplayer.
Yeah.
damn.
Yeah.
Brutal, huh?
It's badass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
And if you're
I
a
love those
bitch,
multiplayer.
and if you're a bitch, you can use a BFG on your friend for repeated times.
Jesus.
The
I wonder who
BFG
did
really
that.
wasn't that big of a deal. It was the Gauss cannon that fucked you up.
Both. Fucking, we had to.
Charge it
so
up.
Well, unless you hit them directly with the BFG, it just does like AoE damage.
he was such a piece of shit. Anytime a fucking power weapon spawned for like the first 2 or 3 games, he would go for it immediately.
Gunning for it until he.
I'm like, you're such a fucking pussy.
Yeah,
He is.
Just fight me
you're
head
not
on like
fast.
a man.
Yeah, I
Yep.
think you're just mad that you're not faster than me.
Fight
If
me
you had
head
gotten-
on like a
if
man.
you had gotten to it first, you wouldn't have this position.
Ills
like-
being right.
There's like
you're a
3.
pussy.
There's like 3 different like loadouts that it starts you with. There's like assault rifle and
Rocket launcher? No, grenade launcher. Grenade launcher, which isn't in the main game.
Yeah, it was
I
not in the
also
main
like from this era of great single players tacked on multiplayers, they would add new weapons that aren't in the main game.
And then it was rocket launcher and shotgun. Oh yeah, no. Rocket launcher and
The super shotgun was paired with the I think
the
it was
sniper rifle.
the sniper rifle. Yes.
And
so
then
then
you
it
had
was
like
assault rifle and rocket launcher.
What was the grenade launcher?
Oh, I'm sorry. It was rocket launcher SMG.
Yes,
That's
the
what it was.
plasma thing.
Yeah.
The one with like the bubbles that you shoot.
Yeah,
Not a great weapon.
Then the one that used the same ammo as the Gauss cannon.
yeah.
Probably my least favorite weapon in the game.
I liked it. I liked
Yeah.
the overheating thing.
Yes.
I like that.
I like its stun. The stun grenade is good. I like that. But other than that,
No, I like the heat ventilating.
Yeah.
Around me.
Especially when you get the final upgrade, which it does
And
automatically.
it just automatically charges.
And
so it
sometimes
goes
you'll
even
just pull it
faster.
out. Easy,
Yep.
free shot.
Because
Kills
even
weak enemies
while
too.
you didn't have it equipped, it would charge.
Oh, really? So you just
Yeah.
switch to it and
Yeah.
you have it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. That was really good. And then you would get like special equipment for each loadout too. So like the super shotgun sniper rifle was a personal teleporter.
Yeah.
That was really good.
Yeah.
I think the grenade launcher gave you
There was effort
a frag
put into
grenade,
the
yeah.
multiplayer. There was thought. Like, all the maps are original. They're not ripped out of the single-player campaign or vice versa, where multiplayer maps first into the campaign. Like, they are, like, original maps with, like, there's original weapons and abilities and stuff that are only in the multiplayer that you wouldn't know if you hadn't played it.
Yeah.
And that's cool. I appreciate that effort. I wish games would still kind of do that. They don't anymore. And I know why, because it took away from development time, and games already cost so much, and very
Now they take forever to goddamn make.
yeah, literally. So it's just like I get why we are in the era that we're in right now, but we used to be able to have our cake and eat it too. And it wasn't a very tasty cake, but
It was a good cake.
it was, it was a cake,
You'd go to Kroger and you'd pick up one of their cakes. Is it the best cake you've had? No, but you enjoy it.
You enjoyed it.
Yeah.
You enjoyed it. Hey, listen, McDonald's is popular for a reason. Is it the best fucking hamburger on the goddamn world? God, no. But tasty. You like it. You can get better for cheaper too. But, you're like, it's there. I miss that.
She's all caught up in your.
Bring that back.
Yeah, it keeps moving, and I'm like, I guess she's caught up. It was only a matter of time before she kills herself.
Fucking Christ.
Yeah.
That's his dog you're talking
Guys,
about.
I am violent against this dog. Call me for animal abuse because I do it. I don't.
Go. There you go. Good job.
You know what?
She licked the fuck out of my water cup, by the way. I'm going to have to wash that when I get
it's
home.
new.
Yeah, she does that. She also, like, anything that's cold she really likes. So she does that.
Give her the ice.
I just know that at some point I'm going to forget.
I'll remind you.
Yeah. There's a thing for me where it's just like things like Snap Map, things like multiplayer. Are they great? No, they're not. In fact, like ideally they should take away points from the game, right?
But they don't.
But you like it's not the reason you're there, right? Sure. Like it's for the same reason if you didn't like Last of Us Factions for whatever reason because you're a weirdo because that multiplayer mode was awesome. But if you didn't like Last of Us Factions, are you going to count against The Last of Us for that? That's not why you're there.
You could for like a Call of Duty, of course.
Yeah.
For Battlefield, for a think of something else, a game where a multiplayer is a part of the reason why you're coming to the game.
Yeah.
With something like Doom, you get there, you play the single player campaign, which is why you got it, and then you say, well, there's a multiplayer, there's a map maker, I'll try it out.
Yeah.
But even regardless of the quality of it, it just doesn't detract points from that core gameplay experience of Doom 2016's campaign.
I will say, to your point about replayability, it's true that it is fun to replay and go through levels and stuff. Some of those early levels are so basic in design because you don't have things like the double jump or you don't have your wide variety of weapons or things like that. Little tedious to get through some of them. Of course, the later levels are all awesome because they're awesome, right?
Yeah.
But there is just a bit of tedium, a bit of like, this isn't the most fun thing in the world, replaying it off of a New Game Plus or something. Now, I will say there's a difference, and this was a conversation, I think, when we played Final Fantasy VII, and when we ranked it above Hades, because Hades is inherently replayable because it's built into the loop, but Hades isn't fun to start from scratch. There's a different level of replayability versus New Game Plus versus starting from scratch.
Sure.
Doom 2016 is always fun to start from scratch.
I went and played an old mission again, and it was nice to have all the weapons available to you. It's nice.
It's nice, but like you feel like it feels like you're like kicking first graders. Like,
which is the problem with the replayability. Like, it has the elements of being replayable, but I have no desire to do it again.
That was going to be my question, because I haven't started like a New Game Plus run or whatever. So like it's a stage select or what?
It's like a chapter select type thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
There'd be no reason to play the game again without playing on a higher difficulty.
Gotcha.
It'd be weird if you didn't.
Gotcha.
It's fun to explore. It's fun to get all the secrets.
That's the thing. It's like, those are nice, but is it like worth are those elements worth replaying it? I'd say no.
I'm wondering because like I still like trophies.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, will it still give me, because there's like,
what are the multiplayer trophies?
It's like I think the only multiplayer trophies is maybe win a game and then progress to level 5 or something like that.
Oh yeah, you're not getting that.
Yeah.
That sucks.
But I was gonna say, so like, is there? So if I did chapter select and I went and got all the secrets in that chapter, will it then give me the reward at the end of me getting all of them? Will it give me it's like, collect?
If it's still within the same save, yes.
Okay.
But like if you like start from scratch, you're starting
because it says like the words inner run or something like that.
I think that's specifically in the chapter.
Okay.
Is what it's talking about there.
Got it.
So like, yeah, if it's like kill 40, if it's kill like 20 demons with a glory kill in a run, it means like from when you load into that chapter.
Gotcha.
I believe is what they're talking about. Oh Jesus Christ! I got a new phone, so now I gotta sign into all my things. So I was trying to look at the multiplayer trophies for Doom. Here we go.
I get you. But no, I really had a good time with this. We'll let Tavin get this loaded up, and then I guess we'll rank it.
Yeah, I'd be down for that. One of the really, I had mentioned this when we and Tavin were talking about it. I kind of mentioned it in my bit of the review. Those moments where Doom Guy's personality comes out are always like a fun and charming thing. The most notable one being the one in the very first, like the epilogue or the prologue. Yeah, where you're going in an elevator, you're getting ready, it's amping you up to the rest of the game and to the badass title drop.
Yeah.
I love that title drop. And you're talking to the guy who effectively caused everything unintentionally, and he's saying, "Believe me, this was for the good of mankind." And just that moment of Doom looking down at the dead guy with his face basically ripped off in the elevator, even just adds that level of character to
even the moment before it, which is kind of lost today because games don't do it anymore, but this was in the era where it was like, hey, we're going to pull up this screen and you got to read everything that's on this screen and we got to tell you everything about the world. We're going to have this huge, long story section that's unskippable. And there's a point where they go to do that and they frame it and he pulls up a little like computer screen and then like numbers start flashing and you're like, it's telling you how bad the situation is. And there's just a point where he just goes, yeah, okay. And then just grabs it and throws it away. And like, fuck the rest of that information, man. Who gives a shit?
Oh, yeah. It's whenever right before you get your first Argent energy cell.
I think it's like, it might be before you even get the fucking armor.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's
early. It's right after you get the armor.
Oh, right after you get the armor.
Moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's like testing out his systems and looks at the screen.
And like the first objective where it's like, hey, this portal's open. You got to shut it down by turning off these machines. And then you get to the machine and the guy goes, all right, now you have to be very delicate here. And he just fucking smashes it. And it's like, yes, this is exactly right.
The funniest part of that is the last one. No, the second to last one where you do it. Where he's like, you go to step on it and he stops because he starts saying, wait. This is extremely important.
Yeah.
I understand you might not think so, but it's for the good of humanity. Don't just destroy it. And he stops and then just goes and does it.
Yeah, the best is even the last one where finally Hayden, Dr. Hayden gets the gist and he goes, well, you know, like it is very important and you're costing us billions of dollars, but I'm sure that's going to be lost on you. And then you smash it and he goes, yep, all right.
It just gives in. Which... those moments, I wish they happened more, as good as they are. I feel like after that destroying the objective part, it just doesn't really happen again.
I think it's because the game is making a statement for the time. Like, for the time, it's like, all right, you got to do this slow mini game of twisting the thing, and pulling it out, you know? Like, that was such like a 2013, 14 era of games that like just forced you to do these really boring things and made you do things that you didn't want to do. And Doom... for the time was like, we know why you're here. Fuck all the rest of this shit, you know? So yeah, it's a statement in the beginning so that like anytime where a gamer can go, fuck one of these moments, they immediately go, oh, it's not one of those moments. And then, last half of the game, fucking shoot and kill everything. But I think also by then, they start getting complex with level design and they start tickling your brain in other ways, you know?
I feel like they don't do enough in that regard. You know, they're good level designs.
You're not exploring enough because there's some complicated moments.
It's all the exploring of those smaller bits the levels have to offer. I don't think it's worth that much. You know, I'm golden pathing it for the most part. Besides the main like mission objectives for that level or the security drones, ardent energy, Praetor tokens, those I always felt like I want to go and find these things.
Yeah.
But everything else, all the extra stuff was just nice to have, but it wasn't, you know, it didn't make me want to go look for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, see, and that's where like the game kind of like dips into puzzle a little bit and you go, how do I get to this room? And that is satisfying of like, and that is fun to be like, oh, I figured it out. I got it. You know, I found this little narrow passageway that like isn't shown clearly on the map. I do think the map could be better designed to kind of show you your options and so forth, or like at least where rooms are connected.
God, I'll tell you what, playing this game on PS5, opening the map and then like not realizing I'm still using the touchpad is very annoying.
I just use the sticks.
Because I'll hit the button, but I won't move my. I'll use, so you know, you move it around with the left stick, right? So I'll use my right thumb, hit the touchpad, and I know I'm going into a map, so I don't like necessarily move my thumb. So I'm like, I think I'm losing where I'm at. So
this
like,
is a very Phil problem.
It is very I'm saying it's very much a me problem.
Yeah.
But like I was very annoyed because I was like, I'm trying to move it and it won't move, or like it'll move right back because my thumb is still there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just stupid.
Yeah, that is a filler.
No,
that's
what
a
I'm
fill.
saying.
Yeah, because my ass touches it and goes back to the stick.
Yeah,
like,
it's just me.
Because the stick is how you zoom in and out.
It didn't. No,
right stick.
Everyone take anything, but I'm not really.
Everybody has their own gameplay quirks.
But no, I'm.
That's how it goes.
I think it's because I also play claw when I play first-person shooters. So like,
like
claw.
what?
No.
Claw.
Oh, if you gave me a controller, I'd show you.
Yeah, with your index finger, instead of your index finger being on the bumper, it's on like triangle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. PlayStation Edge solves that problem. You know, put that jump on a back paddle. But what else I have? I had the switch weapon mods on a back paddle because it was annoying reaching for a D-pad for that.
Way better.
I feel like me being me, it would take me extraordinarily long to get used to the things being on a different thing from the face buttons, because I've literally been playing Claw since I was 9.
Yeah, it's just
So 15
the only
years at this
thing
point?
is
Oh,
that
no, 17.
I play a lot of like single player games, so not every game is meant to have like it. Not every game needs it.
Right.
Games like this where it's a little fast paced, and I want something quick without losing my ability to look around by moving a finger, or my ability to press another button by moving a finger. Yeah, those extra 2 giving my middle finger something to do is great. But yeah, it depends like game to game. Like it's funny, like jumping into like Spider-Man 2. It's funny how like the web wings are tied to holding triangle. Well, I didn't play Spider-Man 2 that way, but when I have my PlayStation Portal, there's
Tied
no
to holding?
Yeah, you hold triangle. You get the web wings out.
You not just press it when you're in the air?
Yeah, it's like a half a second hold, but you know it's a
just
hold.
press it.
No, it's a hold. They tell you to hold it. And so when I got my PlayStation Portal, those don't have back buttons. So it was an adjustment for me to like not grip the back of the controller and go, oh shit, there's nothing there. All right, hold to get these out.
Yeah. All right, well.
All right.
I think that's we've gone as far as we can about talking about the game. So let's just decide where we rank it.
Let's go ahead. Let's pull this baddie up. Hold on, I got y'all.
I am saying out the gate, Phil, you're going last.
Well, damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
You are.
Who's going
because
first?
frankly, your ranking of things is
Doesn't
compared to me
matter.
and Tavin,
Fuck
the
you.
worst. So you just have to have the least impact with your voting decision. That's
Each
not true.
vote has equal impact, Connor.
I know. Yeah, the whole bit is that both me and Tavin, I've tried to not do this in the now, but I was drunk, so I talked with Tavin about where I thought I would place the game. He did as well. Me more hardline, him an idea. So just I want to see your deciding
So,
factor.
ladies and gentlemen, the list stands as always. We rank every game that we've done in the Game Club series. There are currently 25 entries on the list. Stick with me for a minute while I read through the 25 currently on the list. We have number 25, Fable. 24, Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. 23, Prey. 22, Tomb Raider. 21, Batman Arkham Asylum. 20, Uncharted Drake's Fortune. 19, Halo Combat Evolved. 18, Dead Cells. 17, Shadow of the Colossus. Number 16, Mario 64. 15, Resident Evil 4. 14, Portal. 13, Pokemon Soul Silver. 12, Severed. 11, Resident Evil HD. 10, Chrono Trigger. 9, Dishonored. 8, Metal Gear Solid. 7, Shovel Knight. 6, Portal 2. 5, Yakuza 0. 4, Hades. 3, Final Fantasy 7. Number 2, The Last of Us. Number 1, God of War Ragnarok.
Indeed. That's the ranking so far.
All right, well, since Connor's going to be a bitch about Phil.
Yeah.
Sounds fucking dickhead.
Am I?
For real. Listen.
What?
I'm going to go first. Doom 2016 is a game that knows what it's delivering. It knows what you want, how you want it, and why you want it. And it executes on that specifically perfectly. And me, personally, I value a game that knows exactly what it is very highly. I think fuck all this extra bullshit. Cut it out. Get rid of it. That's not why you're here. There's never a moment when playing the game where you're like, oh, I wish I wasn't doing this. Oh, man, this is lame. Oh, like, I'm never looking at my phone when playing this game. And there are games on this list that I believe are great games, but there are times where I'm like, ugh, I don't want to do this. You know, I'm looking at my phone. I'm not paying attention to what's happening on screen because it's just, it's bloated. Like, it's just, there's too much going on. And while I can appreciate a immense amount of content, this game knows when to stop and when to leave you wanting more. You know, exactly. Well, we didn't even talk about boss fights. Boss fights pretty good, pretty fun.
No,
pretty
they're not.
Yeah, they're good.
They're bland and basic. None of them are
I
interesting.
disagree.
Yeah. I will
Each
not
one
give,
of them cause you to think about how you play the game in different ways.
No, it doesn't.
Are they difficult? No.
But they didn't even make me think.
Oh, really? The
That's
last one
true,
was
yeah.
the one that I was like, this is basic and boring.
I mean, that's the thing. It's basic, but at least that one at least made me think when it first presented the other dimension of the fight. All the other ones, I never had to think. It was just like, go on Doom Brain mode. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I feel like the other ones do this too. Because there's the one with the shield, and you go, oh, that's a shield. You're like, why am I not doing damage? Oh, it's a shield. Oh, I got to wait for it to go down. How does it go down? Oh, based off of one of his attacks. I got to wait for him to attack, dodge, punish.
But see, that's the thing. That's where it just kind of becomes rote memory. I didn't need to think. I was like, shield's up. You know, I didn't even get surprised. I wasn't even like, wow. It was just like, okay, I shoot now. Yeah, which I did a lot.
I mean, that's more thinking than you're doing with the rest of the game.
Like for the rest of the game, sure, but even on the individual basis of the boss fight, not that much.
Listen, it like in comparison to a FromSoft, yeah, it's lacking. But
Sure,
like,
but not even outside of FromSoft. Like even like compared to like 2000 adventure games, I feel like those bosses.
I think they're good to pretty good.
Well,
Whatever. That aside, like you just have to. Anyways, that all of that taken in consideration of like, and it knows exactly when to stop going. I feel like the credits roll and you as the player go, oh, I wish there was just a little more. But I feel like if they give you a little more, like it's a instant switch flip of like, all right, I'm done now. You know, like, and that's always a tricky balance to land. I think Doom lands it perfectly.
that's it.
Very excited.
Dark Ages, yeah, next year.
That was the
Fucking
thing
can't wait.
about this game is I was starting to kind of go like, okay, this is the gameplay loop. I'm done with this now. But I felt that on like the second to last mission, and it was already ramping things up at that point that I never actually felt that when I was playing the game.
Yeah.
So it did end perfect spot.
Yeah.
You know, like Last of Us, it's able to get in, do what it needs to do, and then get out. Which is
Exactly.
always a respectable thing for a video game to do.
Yeah, respect my time. I appreciate that. Thank you. And so for me, this is tricky. I think this is clearly above Shovel Knight, personally.
Really?
And honestly, the game is more replayable, and I have more fun than I did with Portal 2. And I think Yakuza 0 is bloated, and its story is poorly written in moments. And so for me, this lands at number 5, above Yakuza 0, below Hades.
Mm-hmm.
I think Hades falls into the same category of this game is we know exactly what you want. Hey, you can stop at any point. There's more if you want, which I think is a plus. But if you beat Hades, hey, you beat Hades. That's what it is, you know? It's only when you get into that top 3 for me where it's like, all right, well, we are games that are trying to do a little bit more than just be an excellent video game. But I love, like, we've talked about, like, S and A tiers, and it gets a little, like, murky around that Yakuza 0, Portal 2, Shovel Knight era. I think Doom lands in, like, A plus S minus territory. You know, it's in that weird middle ground. So for me, I'm at Doom 2016, right above Yakuza 0.
That's very fair. And I like the game for effectively the same reasons as you do. Of course, as these things typically go, it becomes tricky when you start comparing them. And I think it's better than Shovel Knight. I think it provides an amazing first-person shooter experience, just like how Portal 2 offers an amazing puzzle game experience.
Yeah.
Bias included, I like shooters more than I do puzzles, but also I think those games they flow better. Good first-person shooters than good first-person or good, puzzle games. I have I could see myself, for example, replaying Doom and doing things differently, starting a new game from scratch. Portal 2, I would never do that. I played it once.
Well, you're getting the exact same
Yes.
experience, so it's just a matter of how well do I remember each puzzle.
Yeah, and really a lot of it does come down to I like shooters more than I do puzzle games. So and both of them do what they do so well, it goes above that. And Hades, you could probably guess where the debate of where it's going is. Hades, like Doom, has a great gameplay loop. With Hades, I can jump into that anytime. And I can enjoy the charm that is consistent throughout the entire game, whether it's dialogue, character interactions. I get so much more mileage out of this game than I do Doom that I don't think it goes beyond Hades.
For every reason you said, I think Hades and Doom are equivalent. I think what gives Hades the edge for me is that there is more, but
That too,
you can
yeah.
opt in and opt out, and
Yes.
your experience is not compromised at any point
Right.
in that. Whereas, like, Doom, you play through and you end it, and that's it. Hades, you could do that same runtime, play through, end it, and you'd be like, I'm good. Or we can keep going. There's a little bit more carrot on the stick for you
Yeah.
if you want. But again, as soon as you're done, and the game doesn't damage you for. It's not like you didn't see. Well, I guess there is a you didn't see the ending thing, but like, it's not like you didn't do anything. You didn't miss out on any content.
Yeah, right. That's true. And ultimately, still it's below Hades. Yakuza 0 is the deciding factor. Originally, I was going to put this above Yakuza 0, and as typical, these discussions can change my mind pretty easily.
You were going to put it above?
I was going to put it below.
Below. There we go.
And I'm going to stay there.
You bastard.
Yeah, because Yakuza 0 does so much, whereas Doom does one thing very, very well.
But Yakuza doesn't do anything to near the level that this does.
But, once again, it does so many things great, and there's so much of it that it elevates it higher in my mind. Whether you're talking about the side quests, the extra content, whether it's the, they call it, I'm so into anime that I know what it's called. Yeah, not sub-stories. It's the cafe. You're talking hostess bars. Hostess bars.
Yeah.
You can run the hostess bar, do real estate. Yeah, exactly. You obviously have been pretty negative overall, I would say, on Yakuza 0's story. Narratively, is it the most well-written? No. But like Doom, it has tons of charm to it that extends beyond just the main campaign and carries it through the entire length of the game. Plus, once again, like I said, Doom has just, in terms of combat, great, solid, tight gameplay. Not as well compared to Yakuza 0. But Yakuza 0 is still incredibly fun, and all of those other elements just put it up a little bit higher than Doom. Another thing is, yes, I know what you're probably going to say, Tavin. Yakuza 0 has bloat. Whereas Doom does not. But the bloat I only really feel in Yakuza 0 when I'm going from objective A to objective B in like story missions or side missions, because I have to walk long periods of time, and I kept thinking to myself, I started the mission, just sent me on the path of the mission rather than going from here to here to here. But aside from that, all of the other bloat the game has to offer, you can bypass. It's entirely up to you as the player to just ignore it and golden path the story, do side quests.
I think the story is where the bloat is.
Yeah, I don't.
If that story was 10 hours shorter, I wouldn't have as many grievances with it. But because it's 10 hours longer and it needs to find conflict, it needs to find reasons for the player to keep going, it overbloats itself, and it puts the characters in situations that directly violate their moral code because it's a video game, and you have to give them a new minigame or a new thing to keep it interesting.
And that's fair, especially with regards to the morality of characters. You talked multiple times that Kiryu has a section where he kills people after not, like, saying, I do not kill people. Completely contrasted.
Right. And for me, that immediately disengaged me from the rest of Kiryu's journey. Because the rest of the journey is about him not crossing that line when he already has. And the game goes on another 10 hours after that moment. And so it's just like, well, that's 10 hours of content where I no longer care about this character journey because you've ruined the point of the journey.
It's certainly a knock against it. I just don't think it, completely screws up the entire narrative and Kiryu as a character. I see that as like, oh, the people who decide these gameplay sequences weren't getting the message of what to do. Not good game design, I agree, but I don't think it enough hurts the narrative. A bunch of people when he was in that car. Remember, he was doing the shooting segment, blowing up helicopters.
The whole fucking chase sequence
cars.
where he's blowing up helicopters and cars. It's like a 20-minute. It's a 20-minute chase sequence. Right, because they were incinerated in flames, Phil.
Yeah. As reasonable as those points are, I just don't think it does enough to knock it below Doom. And so I'm going to stay in my position of being above Portal 2, below Yakuza 0.
On top of that, not every sub-story is created equally. There are some that straight up suck.
But a lot of the ones I played, in my experience, I loved.
Yeah.
All I agree with
him. Me.
When?
When did I insult you?
By making him go last.
Oh, you said my ranking suck.
You did say that.
That was a joke.
You did say that.
Damn.
I mean, yeah.
You just wanted to cuck Tavin, didn't you, huh, Phil?
Because I stayed at I was going to say number beginning.
I didn't know that.
I think you guys just give Yakuza 0 too much credit and ignore the bad parts about it because you like it.
Part of that is the case, but it's also, once again, a tailor-made experience, more so than Doom is. You can choose what to do and what not to do.
I
My only holdback.
Disagree.
But
I disagree, and I feel the same way because I'm playing Yakuza Like a Dragon, or I'm sorry, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth right now, and it's the same problems where it's like, all right, we're gonna cut away from this thing that you do care about to introduce this fucking Pokemon ripoff minigame, and I'm like, this isn't why I'm here. I'm not here for this. And it forces me to at least participate in it. And then there are side quests that suck, and you don't know they suck until you do them, and you're stuck in them until they're done.
But they're not that bad. Like, I never found a bad side quest.
I don't remember what the bad ones are, but I do remember there were times where I was like, as soon as this is over, I'm turning the game off because I don't want to do this anymore.
Well, all that being said, Phil, why exactly is it below Yakuza 0, above Portal 2? Okay. Everything?
I mean, that is the way it goes. So, Doom 2016 is now once again over the continuously overrated Yakuza 0. You guys make me sound like a hater. I like that game a lot.
I know.
I really fucking like it. It's really fun, but it's just not that good.
Tavin, I would be doing the exact same thing if God of War Ragnarok was not number 1. I get you. I understand.
Was not number 1.
Yeah, because I can't argue against putting some games above Final Fantasy VII, Last of Us. I'd still put Doom below God of War Ragnarok, but it's a lot more contentious of a point than...
like, even then, you're only putting God of War Ragnarok at what? Underneath Final Fantasy or Hades?
No, I'd put it below Yakuza 0.
That's insanity.
Mm-hmm.
That's absolute fucking insanity.
Yeah, but... Yeah. Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
That is ridiculous. That's actually ridiculous.
The charm of Yakuza 0 extends beyond basic narrative that God of War Ragnarok offers.
You are not giving that narrative nearly enough credit.
I'm probably not.
That narrative does way more than anything in Yakuza 0.
Sure, I can agree with that, definitely. But
it's like Yakuza is a Sunday morning cartoon versus a Scorsese film.
Exactly, that's the point. Yakuza 0 is... That came at, like, I've, since that game's been ranked, changed my mind on narratives. If it's the, cookie cutter narrative of a typical, like, movie or TV show, Yakuza 0 does not occupy that space.
Yes, it does!
It's way more wackier. It's way more out there than God of War Ragnarok.
So it's just a cartoon as opposed to a gritty reality story. But it's still basic as shit.
With more charm than God of War Ragnarok. Mm-hmm.
And now we go to find out what we are playing next. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, we alternate months. 1 month is the Glorious Wheel, and we let a random wheel of games that we've thrown into the stock to decide what.
You didn't list off all the games again from bottom to top.
I haven't done that in like 10 episodes.
I know.
Because why are we listening to it?
It's a waste of time.
You can fucking read it. Anyway, I want to beat the shit out of you.
You're just upset at the game stuff.
Yeah, I'm upset at your like ridiculous arguments that you refuse to like bounce outside of your own perspective for.
Fair enough. That's a reasonable point.
This is the wheel. All right. There's a bunch of games here. We're picking from the wheel this time. We alternate months. Some months it's one of us. Some months it's the fucking wheel. This month is the wheel. Fucking, we can't. Last time we did this, we took out Hellblade. Hellblade has to stay in the list this month. Where's the other one? There's only one because I didn't use mine last time. It was fucking. Where are you? There you are. Fable 2. So Fable 2 and Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice have to stay in the list. Gentlemen, what are we pulling out of the list this time around? If you so choose.
Sticking with that, huh?
Vampire Masquerade Bloodlines taken out of the list. Connor?
Is that just an insult to me, Phil?
Fuck you.
Fuck me?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to do Persona 3.
Persona 3. Here we go. We're taking Persona 3 out right
I've done
there.
that twice.
And then where is old... Excuse me.
I don't think it'll be as bad of a game as some of these on the list.
No, there's definitely worse games on this list than Fable 2.
Like Sonic Adventure.
Yeah. And maybe Super Mario Sunshine. I'm taking Spider-Man 2018 out of the list. I'm not going to stand by that possible opinion because yeah. So anyways, here we go, gentlemen. Let's let the wheel go and decide what we are playing for the month of August, September. What
oh my!
are we in? No
You
fucking
nailed it?
way.
Holy shit, Connor.
Whoa, before the cameras were rolling, Connor was like probably Banjo-Kazooie or some dumb shit like that. And then there you go. Banjo fucking Kazooie is the next game
I
are
thought it was going to
playing.
get on Kingdom Hearts.
It was
so close.
Where is it? I don't know. It's almost not even
It's
worth fucking...
Dishonored 2, then Kingdom Hearts.
All right. Well, yeah, there's that. Anyways, Dishonored 2 is fucking great. Anyways, Banjo-Kazooie. So, ladies and gentlemen, when you join us next month after whatever this month is, whatever this next month is, fucking August. We're in August? Yeah.
Correct.
So, at the first possible, recording date of September, whatever that is, join us, play it in the background, Banjo-Kazooie. Until next time, have a great time. And, gentlemen, say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye.